Happy Father's Day! That's cake! Hey there, travelers, and welcome to another episode of the Horror Green Book. I am your guide, Brendan, and here it is a joyful occasion here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That means it is that time of year. Yes, Texas Frightmare weekend. Oh, can you feel it in the air? We are at a familiar location, the Irving Convention Center in Las Colinas, Texas. Same venue as the Preserve Halloween Fest as we did last year. We'll be there again this year, but this video is all about Texas Frightmare. So join me, travelers, as we see all types of things. John Carpenter is here, Sam Raimi, so many people. I mean, Tom Savini, the cast of Sleepaway Camp. Can't you feel the excitement, travelers? So let's go in, see all the stuff that's in store for us. Walking in, and you see the line of cars to get in. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad getting in as it was last year. Okay, we are in the lobby, and things are starting. Doors opened up maybe 20 minutes ago. I'm excited, travelers. So let's go check out Texas Frightmare Weekend 2023. Alright, travelers, it is a huge venue this year. So much vendor space. So, you know, we're gonna go and find some good stuff. Awesome displays for all the different vendors. Tons of masks and such. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Some more fun people here at Texas Frightmare. Everyone is a great time. Again, that's going to be in the fourth floor. Mystery boxes. Make sure that you are on time. Posters, one sheets. Winner of the session A session. That is from 8 to 9. Of course, the dreaded Funko Pop. And of course, it's going to make an appearance, but it's by Zobi, so you got to give them some love. And we have our friends here at Elm Street Toys. Of course, we have a video about the store here on the Horror Green Book. Some of the great stuff that you will find in their store. I feel so lucky to have this brick and mortar store not that far from where I live. So guys, definitely go and check out Elm Street Toys at elmstreettoys.com. Awesome prints here from Bob the Artist. He's a mainstay here as well. Amazing prints. Great deals there. I mean, only for $20 for an 11 by 17. Buy 3, get 1 free. Gotta love it. Great collection of masks here from Goosebumps related stuff. Halloween 3, Killer Klowns. You know, They Live, Evil Dead 2. You know, a lot of stuff in relation to people who will be here at Texas Frightmare Weekend. Shirts. Monster Hill is the name of the business. You can follow them there. No, because I paid more than that. Very cool shirts, like that Kill shirt. NES Jason. Lots of cool stuff there. Monster Hill. So much amazing artwork from Jim Ferguson. Making a Scene. Always has great artwork. Just an example of some of the cool stuff that you see.
Right. Yeah. But it at least gives you time to like sit there. And then also it's local.
Want to check them out? There would be the social media information. Love this awesome business here. What I really enjoy about them is that they have shirts for the kiddies. So, you know, for the little horror fan in your family, you can check out good stuff for them. Look at this awesome blade from Puppet Master. For my travelers that are into makeup, this company is so fantastic. I see their stuff all the time, so make sure to check them out. You may go and get a quick look and see what's in their booth. Count Orlok's like, yeah, you should definitely come in. All types of cool, different items. I mean, and they're inspired by films, cruelty-free, vegan products, inspired by our favorite films.
We're Creature Cosmetics LLC, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We specialize in officially licensed makeup products for the general makeup wearer. So we have eyeshadow palettes, lipsticks, and other general use cosmetics, all based on horror films and officially licensed merchandise for those films.
Sweet. Alright, we're here at the famous Monsters of Filmland booth. Of course, filled with all types of cool stuff. Great merch, stickers, shirts, everything that you could possibly want. They are a great, great company, guys. Famous Monsters of Filmland. Travelers, it is really packed in here, and it's just Friday, so you just know it's just gonna get better on tomorrow when it's just so many people that don't have to worry about work that are coming in, and the people are coming in from out of town. Needless to say, I am so in my element here at Texas Frightmare. So many people here, people in cosplay, people out here buying up good stuff. It is convention season here in Texas, so be on the lookout for plenty of good content on my channel. You guys know I'm a sucker for blacklight reactive stuff. If you like anything that you see at this booth, check them out here.
Everything I draw.
You got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and their website right here. Lots of great artwork. Got some Shredder. You know I'm a TMNT fan. Lots of good stuff. This artist, Patrick Hart. Some very cool stuff here. Awesome stuff. Travelers is great here. Over there. Great products everywhere. People in cosplay. It's an amazing time, travelers. I am so excited. And here we are at Play Guy's booth. If you're familiar with conventions, then you know his artwork when you see it. So many great things. You know, Freddy, Pinhead, Damien from The Omen. So many cool things. Even deep cuts like Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Have Dr. Loomis. We're at the Fangoria booth. You know, horror legends. Make sure to support them. Support print. Even if you have to support them with the digital subscription. Gotta love Fangoria. Blackened art and design. Coffin-shaped items that you can use as designs. Some that you can actually put up for displays. Help store some of your favorite horror items. Patches, patches, patches everywhere. Lots of cool stuff. Original art. So many cool things. Check them out. Pins. One of the cool things about Frightmare every year is you can get wounds while you wait. So look at that awesome craftsmanship to put together amazing wounds there. Travelers, check this cool stuff out. I am head over heels for these prints here. Wow, some cool stuff. Check it out. The artist here is Mitch O'Connell. Have his information right here. Got his prices. Very, very good prices. Oh my gosh. Like the 3D one. So much cool stuff, guys. More amazing cool art. Like, I'll tell you guys, there's so much stuff. Like, you can easily go broke in here looking for stuff that, you know, just catches your eye and just stuff that no one else that you know would have. So, oh, we have a Frankenhooker cosplay right there. Okay, Travis, one thing you know is I love to support independent films and independent filmmakers. So could you tell us a little bit about your film?
Yeah, so this is a sci-fi thriller based in West Texas around Marfa and Terrifier. It's inspired by the Marfa lights, also known as the ghost lights. And it's a $7,000 budget, super independent. Directed by Timothy Stevens here.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
In the vein of X-Files or Mafia Productions.
Nice, nice.
Sci-fi horror, sci-fi mystery.
Oh, you gotta love it. And it's inspired by a Texas, you know, legend, folklore here, the Marfa lights. But it's really cool, guys. Check out the items here, their prices. And where would we be able to find you if you're not attending Frightmare?
SpectrographFilms.com. You can find our social media. You can find links to the trailers and our other projects there as well.
Okay, sweet, sweet. All right, travelers, you hear it, so check them out. Okay, travelers, we have some awesome literature here. Great, great books. So could you tell me a little bit about your business here?
Black Rose Writing is an indie publisher. We've got authors all over the globe. We publish all kinds of genres, and we try to treat our authors like part of our family.
That's right. That's great. Great. A family business here, guys. Check them out. Black Rose Horror Writing. Amazing. You just got a book for my kiddo here, but we have some stuff here for adults. And then look at these. These are so cool. So support, get something for one of your family members. I know I did for myself. So check them out. Got some vinyl for everyone that wants to get their record fixed. A little bit of everything. You got some medals, some soundtracks, some modern stuff. Anything you could possibly want. Oh, that Dream Child one. Travelers, we are down Celebrity Row. So many cool people. We have David Howard Thornton, Damien Leon, more people from Terrifier, people like Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist, lots of cool people, and it is super packed. Oh, there you go, we have a fan right there, that's right. There's so many cool people here, guys. Like, seriously, like, if you can make it out to a Texas Frightmare weekend at least once in your life, definitely do it. It's worth it. Definitely try to come when some of your favorites are there. Like, you know, Nancy Loomis from Halloween and Charles Cyphers. Met them in Las Vegas earlier in the year. The Dark Hour booth. One of the most popular haunted houses here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Did you know that they have free bags in the parking garage?
Oh, free
you
bags?
Just pick any of them up. I got one myself.
Oh, see, lucky. And of course, Trick or Treat Studios in the house. Plenty of goodies for us travelers. Got pins, Good Guy batteries, all types of official merch. Now these bad boys here, oh my gosh, for $200, that is a steal. And those things are like sold out almost everywhere, so that's great. Sean Clark in the house, what's up, man? How's it going, man? It's good to see you, man. Oh, big fan, man. Big fan. Good to see you, man. Oh, for sure, I'll take that. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, support, guys. All right, thanks, man. Okay, travelers, so I am in line for PJ Souls' autograph. I have obtained the #1 mission of getting John Carpenter's autograph through a private signing that a friend arranged. I paid off with that one for sure because I do not want to stand in a long line for a signature. It's already taken care of. So now I have PJ Souls left, and she's one of the few autographs that I have left to obtain on this poster. So she's doing a photo op now, so I'm standing there waiting for her. Taking in some of the sights and sounds while I'm in line for PJ Souls' autograph. There's Michael. There's a lot of happy people here. A lot of people have gotten a lot of cool stuff, great autographs. Travelers. Now, I absolutely love the movie Midsummer, so her cosplay is amazing. So she's definitely the May Queen, if you ask me, guys. That's right. Look at that, travelers. Oh, the thing is taking over. Have some Thayla sightings. Looking awesome, guys. Looking awesome. Kick ass and chew bubblegum. That's it. While I'm waiting in line, you see the people posted up near PJ. You have Nick Castle, of course, OG Michael Myers. And on the other side of PJ, you have James Jude Courtney from the new Halloween trilogy, the David Gordon Green trilogy. I've already obtained their autographs, so I'm here for Miss PJ. She has been elusive, but once I saw she was here, Frightmare, had to get her. Oh, speak of the devil, there she is. Look at this awesome Patrick Bateman American Psycho cosplay. It's hip to be square, guys. They look so awesome. Love these guys. They're here at every Frightmare, serenading us with great goodies. They're awesome. If you ever see them, say hello. Now we're just hanging out. You got the night crowd at Texas Frightmare. It's been a great time. I mean, that's the cool thing about these events. I mean, we have the Westin that's across the street. We have the Texican, and we have a few other hotels nearby for the attendees to hang out at. It's no longer the one huge Hyatt at the airport, but I think I like this vibe better. More space. Okay, that is day one at Texas Frightmare 2023, travelers. I am exhausted, but I had a fantastic time. Met PJ Souls finally, obtained John Carpenter's autograph. There are a few more people that I am planning to meet, mainly Keith David and Sam Raimi. I have to obtain their autographs before this weekend ends. So wish me luck, travelers. and we'll catch you tomorrow. Some of the day 2 line as people are waiting to be let in. We are a few minutes away from VIPs being let in, and the general admission a good hour and a few minutes. Welcome to day 2 travelers. We are getting prepared for another full day of excitement at Texas Frightmare. I got just enough sleep to be worth something today, but hey, it's going to be another fun day filled of activities. There will be tons of panels today. Hopefully I'll be able to make both of the Halloween panels, maybe the Christine panel, but that being said, let's go see what happens. Just a small sample of the amount of people here on Saturday. This is 1 hour before general admission opens. VIPs, which are right there, will be opening pretty soon. I'm not as lucky. Oh, there's Steve. It's so cool, guys. It's gonna be a good one. Travelers, I can't tell you how happy I am to obtain John Carpenter's autograph last night. Man, I was a bit stressed that I wasn't going to be able to get it, but thankfully, through to the benefit of private signings, I was able to obtain it. I obtained PJ Souls' autograph, and pretty soon I'll be sending my poster off to have Tommy Lee Wallace sign it. I hope to go to Halloween 45 later this year, but you know, with the thing with celebrities, people get older, you don't want to take the chance on saying, okay, I'll do it next time, and you know, something happens. So I'm of the mindset of grab it sooner than later, rather be safe than sorry. So hey, we'll get you updated on that in regards to Halloween 45. Oh, there's the will call line. People are getting let in to obtain their wristbands. Saturday has officially begun for some. Meanwhile, my line is still waiting to be let in about another hour. More and more people coming in. Alright, the line is moving for Saturday finally. 11 o'clock has made it here, and we are on the way. Okay guys, I have officially obtained my Sam Raimi autograph ticket. So we are now in this massive line. Check it out, travelers. All of these people are in line for the man, Sam Raimi. You know, a lot of Evil Dead fans here, travelers. You know, families who are fans of Spider-Man, all types of things. So, again, travelers, you know, we're gonna have a fun time this Saturday. Well, slight change of plans. The line was capped. They told me to come back in about 30 minutes, and maybe if the line is a little bit shorter, then we could come back, but I'm not mad about that. I could come back in about 30 minutes, explore some more of the convention, and I'll be right back. Alright, while I'm waiting on my Sam Raimi autograph, you'll see the Terrifier line is already getting packed. We have so many others. I mean, it is a great time here in Texas Frightmare Saturday. We have heavy hitters like Charles Cyphers and Nancy Loomis, Zach Galligan. You know, for all you Gremlins fans, the line for the Prey cast is very long. This line, especially for Amber. She is definitely a crowd favorite. I think this is one of their first convention appearances.
Yeah, so I'm Dave DeLonge. I'm a freelance writer, but I have a studio called Hellbrain.
Sean Gavarine, I freelance write, got some books coming out with some comic publishers. I do handwritten entertainment.
Yeah, this guy's a little more prolific than I am. He actually worked on the Puppet Master comics, so he's like
nice,
a comic
nice.
horror legend. I'm just a scrap that does some weird, messed up stuff. But yeah, we both, like he self-publishes mostly. I work for Dark Horse. We both have books coming out from Scout. I've worked for Image Comics, just all over the place, working on this stuff for like over 20 years, I think.
Sweet, sweet, awesome. And guys, check out all this amazing literature here. I mean, the artwork's great. I mean, these covers are fantastic. And we have social media information here. So,
Yeah, check this out.
super cool.
It's just like bonkers good.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
guys, check out the vibrant colors. I mean, hey, you can see the action coming from the pages.
Oh yeah.
So again, guys, if you want to check out their information, where would they go?
Oh, for me, it's hellbrain.com, or you can just find me at Dave DeLaunch, like everywhere on the internet. Probably some FBI watch list, but you know, just ignore that.
We'll ignore that, that's for sure.
Strike that from your record.
Definitely.
And I'm out there as Handwritten Entertainment or Sean Gabarine. I'm the only one. So if you can get the spelling right, you'll find it.
Awesome, awesome. And we'll get right there. There you go. You can get the spelling right, and you will find Travelers. Sitting in on the Christine panel now. Jess ended the Halloween 45-year anniversary panel with PJ Souls and Nancy Loomis. It was a very, very good panel. Got some good insight and some great answers to questions that people had. Now, Christine, and after that is the John Carpenter panel, and then after that the Thing. So needless to say, some very good stuff and good information at these panels. One of my favorite things to take advantage of. As you can see, people are getting into the room, getting set up for all the fun. We had a great time. Great time. Alright, we have the mass of people waiting for John Carpenter's panel. Of course, they're going to let the VIPs get in first, and I think that is the abundance of VIPs. Photo ops are down there, and as you can see, it is Saturday. There are tons and tons of people still coming up and down the stairs. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thankfully, things have gone pretty swell and pretty smoothly in regards to this Saturday, even though we are in a brand new venue for the first time at Frightmare. I couldn't be more pleased.
My left, your right. So there's not as much over here. There's still plenty over here on this side. We can fill
John
it in.
Carpenter's panel
Let's
is
fill
getting
this side
pretty
in a little bit
packed.
more.
Are they giving you like a cut of each hat or something? They're giving nothing. That's a good boy right there. Let's go. All right, so if you'd like to ask a question, as these fine folks are already doing, now officially known as John Carpenter Freeway, named after the right. Dallas oil guy. John Carpenter, like many of us already thought that it was named after him. Thank you. Okay, so I want to open up, as much as you are known for being a director, you are known for being a composer. And I would argue, maybe if not more, currently, recently, because you have, thank the gods, continue to make music and release albums and tour, which is really a gift to all of us. How did the composing begin? Of course, you had your band with Tommy Lee Wallace and Nick Castle, but was it just an extension of like, well, we need a composer, I guess I'm going to do it, or what? What was it?
Well, it all started back when I was growing up. My daddy was a violinist. He was a brilliant violinist. I grew up around music. I grew up in a house with music going all the time. Classical, then I would listen to rock and roll, and I mean, I've had music in me, with me all my life. So, I've become a student filmmaker, and we don't have any money when we're a student filmmaker. So I did the music myself, and it continued in the movie. And that became part of the creative process, and I love it. I love composing. I love going out with my son and godson and the band and playing. Maybe I'll come and see you guys.
Yes, please come.
Hi.
And I'm a little short for this microphone, but
Hey guys, help her out there. Move the mic
Yeah, you
down.
can tilt it down. Yeah. There we go. Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
And there we go. Just pass it back. There we go.
so I've been talking to a lot of creators at this event for the last few years. We've come and we talk a lot about the creative process, and it goes kind of, a lot of people want to ask their favorite people, how do you get your ideas? And I feel like that comes in a variety of ways, but I want to know how you keep your ideas. I have a basic idea of how that works, and it's enriching an already beautiful mind. So how, like, when you're alone at night, when you're putting water on your face, when you're cascading your dreams, like, what happens? What's your inner daily dialogue like?
What happens up here, man?
Well, when I put water on my face, that's all I do is put water on my face. I don't know where the creativity comes from. That's asking how do you breathe. Part of my life. It's always been since I was a little kid. My dad told me, create something, do it. I don't care what it is. He said, I don't care what it is. You can write, you can paint, you can do music, you can do anything. So I took him up on it, and that's been my whole life, is creating.
We're really glad your dad said that. We're glad you took him up on it.
That's right.
Thank you. That's a great question.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go. I'm just going to end up giving everyone one.
Hi, my name is Jensen. Been a huge fan of yours for a long time. Gotta say, I absolutely love Lost Themes, but is there going to be a fourth one?
Yes, we're working on it right now.
Awesome.
You can put one on your vest.
You want your Texas view?
The promise wasn't that everyone got one, but yeah, we got enough.
So, is everybody here from Texas? Everybody? Okay.
Anyone from Illinois?
Oh, wow.
What town?
I'm from Omaha.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I've waited 40 years to ask you this question, and if I feel like I get the answer that I wanted today, I'll sell my soul to anybody in this room that will buy it in order for you to give that answer. Okay? I've watched every cheap film on YouTube. I've watched the thing over 100 times. I want to know in the end of that film the Childs was the thing. And I know you've been tight-lipped on it your entire career, and I know we're probably never going to get the opportunity again to have everybody in one place. Let it slide, man. So there was backlighting, there was highlighting people in that film that were infected, and there was no highlighting the people that weren't. The story that Childs gave McCready in the end was complete bullshit. None of it was true. McCready handed him a bottle, knowing people could be infected easily, and he willingly took a drink.
Answer the question himself.
I know what the question is. I've heard it before. I cannot answer you.
Yes, you can!
All right, take it away, sir.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think your most underrated score is? And were there ever any plans to do a sequel or a follow-up to my favorite movie of yours, Village of the Damned?
No plans to do that. What was the first one? I'm sorry.
What is your most underrated score in your opinion?
I have no clue, man. You tell me.
They're all
amazing. No, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't judge my own stuff. Okay? I'm sorry.
What about you? What do you think is the best underrated scores?
Anything from Village of the Damned.
Okay. All right. You have a favorite score? You can't rate your own stuff, but do you have one that's kind of a personal favorite?
No.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Oh, yes, absolutely, yes, okay.
Hey, my name's Hassan. I'm a huge fan of your work, especially your music. I wanted to know, was there a specific inspiration behind the score for the original Halloween?
Well, yeah, we were low budget. I had to do it, and my dad, when I was 13, taught me 5/4 time. Pop, 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 pop. I learned it on the bongos. So I thought, well, I'll just do that. So I played it off, ding, 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 ding. And that went from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're telling us that somewhere out there, there's like a bossa nova bongo drum Carpenter album?
That's it. Bossa nova, baby.
Hey.
Hello, my name is Trevor.
How you doing, Trevor?
I'm good. I just want to say Halloween as a film itself being like the highest independent film of all time.
I told you not to flop.
I know, I'm sorry. I just want to say, it leads into my question. I'm trying to be an aspiring filmmaker, and I just want to know, do you have any advice for young filmmakers who don't have access to all that good quality stuff?
Well, now wait. Don't try. Do it. I want you to do it because you have the equipment nowadays to do it. You can make a movie on your phone if you want to. Don't try. Do it. I want you to do it. I want you to start this weekend making a movie, all right? All right, well, thank you.
How can people find you? What's your social? We're going to check in on you and make sure that you're doing what John Carpenter told you to do. What's your social? You got to plug yourself.
My Instagram is Trebs, like TREBS _the _psycho.
Trebs the Psycho. You're about to have at least, I don't know, how much is the room? Well, you're going to have a lot more followers. Is what you're saying. Oh, wait, here you go. Come in.
Oh.
Hey, big guy, what's up?
Not much. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, since you're a man of musical taste, from the recent, I don't know if you've ever watched any of the recent past maybe 5 years of horror movies, if there's any of the scores that stood out to you?
Scores.
Other people's scores. Any
Man.
anything?
Well, I'm a Hans Zimmer fan. Do you guys know who But I'm as directors go, I'm a Jordan Peele fan. You know? I love the UFO movies. I think it's fabulous. So he's great. But scores, I don't pay much attention. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of people making a lot of scores now that sound a lot like your scores.
Yeah.
We're the one of the Stranger Things. Great answer. Yeah. Hey, great question. And have you heard of Carpenter Brute? Have you heard of that guy?
No.
You should check him out. Yeah. All of his stuff is like an homage to you. Yeah.
Hey.
There we go.
Just had a quick Christine question.
Sure.
Obviously, it's based on a Stephen King novel. I was just wondering if he was ever involved with any of the creative or visuals with the movie itself.
No. He just collected money. That's all.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
Coming at you.
So I was wondering if
Not good at sports. We established this. All right, go ahead.
I was wondering while you were making the thing, if it was any harder to work around with all the practical effects and everything like that, or was it just easy peasy?
Yeah. That movie was so fucking hard. We were up above Juneau in the ice fields. I'm up on Hollywood. What am I doing up there? It's cold. All a bunch of Hollywood guys stumbling around in the snow. It was hard.
Did you have fun in the snow?
Fun? Come on, dude. However, we love the script. We love working together. That's the big thing. And I thought the cast in that movie was brilliant. Really. Some of them are here, you know that.
That's right, yeah. What about your kind of collaboration, working relationship with Rob Bottin on that movie? Because that, I mean, the thing is what it is because of
you know.
Rob came to me with the secret of the movie. He said this creature can look like anything. And it can look like all the things it's imitated in the universe. And I thought, I've never seen that before. That's new. So that's what he was trying to do. Fueled by a lot of cocaine.
This is my favorite Q&A ever. You just need to catch all of them and hand them off. Yes. Yeah, there we go. All right, take it away.
Hey John, I'm Brian. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Awesome. My question isn't really about your films.
Oh, good.
I appreciate that. But it is sort of about, it stems from one of those things. So one of my favorite movies as a kid was always Big Trouble in Little China. I read an interview, I saw an interview with you about the movie where you had talked actually about the supernatural or paranormal elements of the film, and you were giving your opinion about that. I wanted to know, what is the strangest or weirdest or creepiest thing that has ever happened to John Carpenter in his lifetime?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay, well, I'm going to really disappoint you. The supernatural exists in movies, in literature, not in real life.
That's what you said in the interview, right?
It doesn't exist. I'm so sorry.
No, the weird stuff doesn't have to be that. It can be anything that happens. Anything that's weird or strange that happens.
Okay. A kid who grew up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, comes to Hollywood and becomes a director. That's weird.
There it is. From Kentucky.
I tried.
No, that's a great question.
Great question.
Yeah. There you go. Keep coming. Here, you can. Yeah, you got it.
Don't give them that cheesy stuff. Give them something new.
I
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You have made my childhood amazing, just saying. And we love you so much, John, and we also love Kurt Russell. I would like to know, is there any chance of you two getting together? I'd love a Sing sequel, but I'll take a Snake Plissken or a Tim Burton any day.
Jack Burton.
Tim Burton? You love Tim? We'll see. We'll see. We've been talking. You know, you never know in this business. The movie business has changed since I was doing stuff. I don't know. It's just all different today. The movies are different. The vibe is different. They do it for different reasons. So I don't know.
Do you and Kurt get to hang out at least once in a while?
Sure. I help him count his money.
I mean, Kurt's in great shape. He's a silver fox. I think all of us, especially after Logan, want to see an old man Jack Burton movie. I want to check in on that guy. I want to see where he's at in the 60s, still kicking ass. People spoke.
Hello, my name's Kelly. I came here from Tokyo to be here.
Whoa!
All right.
Tokyo, Japan.
You're kidding me.
No,
My son is over there. My son lives in Tokyo.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. But my question is, this isn't horror movie related. You said you're a big music person. I'm a huge Elvis fan. So what was it like getting to work on that movie? And do you have a favorite Elvis song?
Oh God, there's so many of them. Well, oh man, what is that song? Return to Sender is probably one of my favorites. It was wonderful working on that Elvis movie. It's strange. His ex-wife, Priscilla, they don't talk about it really. It's strange. He was, I guess, a really troubled guy. And he was hooked on downers big time. You can see it when he sings sometimes in those concerts. His eyes are half livid. But man, he's the king of rock and roll.
Yeah. Some would say you made a definitive Elvis movie, Eat Your Heart Out, Buzz Lerman. There we go.
Hi, John.
Hi, sweetie.
I have a question. I've always wondered. I saw Bad Day at Black Rock a few years ago with Spencer Tracy.
Isn't it great?
And I
What a
noticed
great
his
movie.
name was McCready, and I thought, is that an homage?
What's that?
that you named McCready after McCready's?
No, but that's one of my favorite movies. You guys don't know that movie at all. But it's Bad Day at Black Rock.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious about that.
I'm very proud of you.
All right, so in the interest of time, I would really love to, I hate to cut off anyone because I feel like I'm crushing hopes and dreams. So let's like kind of rapid fire. I'll throw these like ninja stars really fast. And we'll try and get through as many as possible, right? All right, let's do it. Go, rapid fire. There you go.
Hello, my name is Anakin, and I love the thing very much. And I was curious, what's your favorite effect from the thing?
I love when the head comes off, man. You can get over that.
Did you say your name was Anakin? Anakin? I have the high ground right now, Anakin.
What's up, John? Fucking Carpenter. I'm great. I've got an easy one for you. What was the first horror movie you ever saw?
A 3D movie called It Came From Outer Space. I love that. Hey man, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm mourning for the Warriors right now.
Are you?
That's
okay.
That's Dusty Man, yeah. No one ever asked you about Starman anymore.
Yeah.
Do you have any reflections on Starman? What's your thoughts on that film? Man?
Thank you. What do you want to know?
What are your thoughts on that film now, all these years?
I'm really proud of that movie. I got to make a romantic comedy. I'm a horror guy, right? But I got to work with Jeff Bridges, who's just an incredible actor. So anyway, I love that movie.
I saw you perform in San Francisco.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you brought me to tears. Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
And I love Howard Hawks as well. So
Okay. All right. We are running out of time and running out of patches. Let's go. Good to see you, John.
Good to see you.
Thank you. You've got a large catalog of movies, and a lot of them are very tonally distinct from one another. And this applies to your music as well. I was wondering, do you have like a creative approach to making different works of art that are just like much tonally different from one another?
Story, in terms of movies, all about story. And we're starting to lose audience. They're pouring out of here. Look at that.
You're trying to get to your table. They like your bad table.
But no, I just do it. Next case here.
Trying to confirm a rumor. I heard a few years ago that the theme to Halloween is your ringtone. Is that true?
Maybe. Yes.
We know we're losing him because now the dog is awake and ready to go. Like it needs to
How
go.
about one more question and I'm going to get out of here, huh?
I'm Joe. Nice to meet you, sir. I'm wondering if Rob Bottin, the legendary effects creator, would come out of retirement to do just one more film with you.
But I don't know. I don't understand where Rob is. I haven't seen him in years. I don't know. Did he retire? Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway.
Apparently there's some, like his wife does real estate and he's just hanging out. That's the story, yeah. All right.
You guys are awesome, okay? Thank you.
Wow, that John Carpenter panel was absolutely amazing. That may have been in my top 3 panels that I've ever been in my entire life. He did a fantastic job. Now we're sitting waiting on the panel for The Thing, which is one of my favorite all-time movies, one of the greatest remakes of all time, bar none. And you know, it's been a great time. I mean, my goodness, I'm on an absolute high. I met Sam Raimi earlier, and he was a absolute delight. Very down-to-earth, humble guy, very sweet. But I pretty much figured that that would be the case with him from what I've heard from everyone. We talked about Tennessee, my home state, and the reason why the film was shot there, which is because the Tennessee Film Commission actually supported the film and gave them locations. So that's a great tidbit to know as a native Tennessean that lives in Texas. But hey, let's keep this fun weekend going on, the Texas Frightmare weekend.
We're going to show them just how we do it. We're going to bring out the cast of The Thing. Let's hear it for Thomas Waits. Yes, there's a lot of people here, and they're very excited because, God, we love this movie, don't we?
Yeah.
So well. I mean, you know, when we saw it at the Alamo again the other night, we were reminded how great those special effects were, right? Pretty gruesome. A little bit tough, right? A little bit. I mean, just given the conditions, right?
I have no idea because it was my first movie, so I didn't know. The one thing I do remember, an outstanding memory, is the first day of, which you don't usually get. You don't usually get to rehearse a movie of any length of time. But we got 2 weeks. Just one. We got 2 weeks and we're rehearsing. And after the first day, because we're in the sound, we're on the sound stage, and the ceilings were higher than these. And at lunchtime, Master and there were two of the guys, I don't remember who they were like, hey man, you know, you don't have to project that much.
I said, you can pull it back. He was out there, and we're all
with each other and tell some of the stories. Do you have a specific memory on set or something that was funny or that just stands out? It's just like, I'm always going to remember this particular day.
I do, I have one.
Oh,
and of course he does. I know, I have a propensity for my little classic. So Will Brimley, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, was a great guy, a great friend of mine for a lot of different reasons. But anyway, Will was auditioning for that film, Tender Mercies. So we're all on the set, and there was one phone back then that rang, you know, and if they weren't shooting, you know, you could pick up the phone and answer.
We didn't have cell phones, guys.
Right. So Will had a meeting with who directed Tender Mercies. It was the Australian director. Great director. Anyway, you know, Will was very tight with Duvall, and Will's sitting there and he's like, God damn, I gotta go meet this son of a bitch. And he goes in to the audition, and I'm sitting there, I'm waiting to find out what happens, you know. And he goes into the audition, and the director says, I'd like to hear you read for the part. And Will goes, I don't do that. And he goes, well, I'm not so sure you can play the part. And Will goes, I'm not so sure you can direct the goddamn movie. And he gets up and walks out. And Duvall starts calling on the phone, and I'm mentioning the great Robert Duvall is calling the phone. I'm like, oh, he's like, Wilford, please, get me Wilford Room. I'm like, Will, Bobby Duvall wants to talk to you. And then they're talking about it. Anyway, they ended up doing the movie together, but I just thought it was so funny that he ended up calling.
I remember a different.
Second one for bringing the story. What was the second one?
It was the second part. As I remember it, he told me that I think it was Deborah Winter who went in first, and he asked her to improvise, which she did not do well, and she didn't get the part. So when he went in, he said, "Well, I'd like to see you do an improvisation." He said, "No, I don't do that. I'm not going to do that." So he said, "Will you read code for me?" He says, "No." I don't read well. I'll prepare something for you, but I'm not going to do that. So he said, well, how do I know that you can do a Texas accent? He said, how do I know that you would know a Texas accent if you heard it?
That's now third Wilford Brimley story. We can talk about him because he's dead. You know? I'm sorry if that offended anyone. So we're all sitting around. It was one of the few times, you know, a lot of us were in scenes together, but there were a lot of scenes where just a few guys here and there. So at this one point, we're all sitting around on these director's chairs in a big kind of semicircle, sitting around shooting shit, talking about the next scene that was coming up and all the relationships we have with each other and how we all interact and all the stuff we worked at in rehearsal. And Wilfred's sitting there and he's just shaking his head like this, quiet as can be, shaking his head. Then somebody, I don't remember whether it was Kurt or one of us, said, "What? What's the matter?" He says, "You boys still think this movie's about us. It's not about us. It's about the rubber guy." And of course he was right. But we made the rubber guy work. Okay, because without us there wouldn't have been a movie.
For Richard Masser, after we hear from Joel.
Oh,
yeah. Go ahead. Take that.
So it's my first time. It's my first movie also, and I'm on the set at Universal, and we're doing that scene where Dice Art the doc is defibrillating Charlie Hallahan, and his chest opens up. Dice Art's arms go in, chest bites his lungs, his arms come up. So Dice Art defibrillates him, and they shoot that and everything. And then this man comes in I've never seen him before, but he looks just like Dice Art. And so Dice Art,
I'm going to interrupt you, and here's why, because we got to set this up. Oh, no, you got it.
So anyway, so Dice Art's arms go inside, and now they get this other guy in. He looks just like Richard Dice Art. And so he plays a double amputee, so that when he attached to his arms, so when he pulls back, the mouth is closed on his arms, suddenly blood is squirting out of his elbows and going to his arms up. The guy looks so much like Dice Art. I watched that, and I saw him pull back, and I go, "Oh, this is Hollywood." They can get anything they want. This guy it's amazing when you can't tell the difference.
So this is what I was going to set the story up with. This man was in the makeup chair for about 4 hours. I don't know how Joel missed him. We all walked over to him. He was asleep that morning. But we all went over and we watched this guy get these prostheses put on his stumps. And we're all talking to each other going, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen. How can I do this to this guy?" And I forget, either it was Kurt or somebody walked up to him and said, are you okay? And he said, "This is the greatest day I've ever had." We all thought, this is going to re-traumatize this guy. Because he wasn't born this way. He lost his arms in an industrial accident. You know, so it was like really, but he was happy as a clown. And he looked nothing like Dice Art. He had a false, like a mask, but a much better.
I didn't see the makeup job. Probably collapsed over to the beach. I don't know.
It was his first movie.
So my question is actually directed towards Keith. So I grew up watching every single day, every single night, the Gargoyle series.
Yeah.
And absolutely amazing portrayal of Goliath, and just hearing the projection of your voice. And I probably should not have been raised on this, but Spawn as well. It was on HBO. It was a different time. But what I was wondering is what made you gravitate towards doing that particular type of voice work, and how did you feel about portraying Spawn again in Mortal Kombat 11?
This is a question that frequently fascinates me whenever I'm asked, because I'm an actor, and when I'm not working, I'm looking for work. Somebody offered me a job, so I took it. It really isn't any deeper than that. that I am an actor who loves language, and I've done a lot of Shakespeare. And when Gargoyles came around, Greg, who wrote it, was very inspired by Shakespeare, and so the language was elevated, it was heightened language. So it was like right up my alley, and it was a great job. It was one of 3 times in my life that I can recall, just like it was yesterday, that I had an audition, and before I left the room, the producer said, "The job is yours. It's yours. This is your audition." And I think just because of that, because I had my affinity for it, and it was just one of those things that was just like very synchronistic. I mean, I just jived with it, and they were, in fact, when I auditioned on the, what do you call it?
Take your time, Keith.
I think I will. Well, not the call sheet, but anyway, when they put the call out. Anyway, it said, we're looking for a sonograder.
Oh, the breakdown.
So I went in trying to do my best Sean Connery, and he said, forget the Sean Connery. Just do it. And I did it. But that was about as deep as it gets.
Hi everyone. Keith, I worked with you once back during a convention in Atlanta. I used to be your guest handler way back when. But this is a question I wanted to ask you at the time, and I didn't get a chance to ask all of you. With it being such a tense movie, was there ever a really tense atmosphere in the movie as far as when it got to those parts in the film? Like, was there any tension in, backstage or off the set, or you guys kind of, very, playful with each other, you cut pranks on each other, or anything like that?
Yeah. Try to make it short. You remember when we were all nailing 2x4s into the floor to keep the doors from opening to the thing? And the way we were told to nail the 2x4s into the floor, never would have worked. And I was hammering nails into the 2x4 and on into the floor, and with Mr. Waits. And at one point, you think about it, it would never have worked. A little bit of pressure on the door, those 2x4s would have gone skittering across the floor, the nails useless. There was a better way to do it. But I said to you, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This isn't going to work. This is silly. Everybody's going to see this and they're going to know this is bullshit. And I had a pin-on microphone, and Tom probably has one too. And believe it or not, just between shots, John Carpenter had earbuds, and he heard what I said, and he came running across the studio soundstage saying, "It is not bullshit." Did he do it? It is not bullshit. So, to answer your question, if I get it right, there was some tension.
So I'm going to let this gentleman come and explain what exactly this is. But when you see these, you're gonna want one. I want one. Look at these. They light up too. That's great.
Thank you. So what we do is we do like a little special thing for the cast, and it's our way of saying thank you. So on behalf of Texas Frightmare Weekend and my company Nightmares Unlimited, we want to thank you guys for all the years of scares, laughs, and greatness. All right.
Well, me. Is this on?
That's on.
Okay. I was a film student at the University of Southern California and met a certain Mr. John Carpenter back then. And so we became good friends just doing our little movies together. And then when he was going to prep Halloween, I was just checking out, see what he was doing. I was on the set prior to them shooting, and I said, you know, John, I would love just to hang around and be on the set, because I want to be a director too. And he went, okay. And then he thought about it for a second and said, why don't you be the guy under the mask? Then you'll be here, have to be here anyhow. Well, we had to pay them something, like $25 a day. You'll get that. I went, this is a great job. And he knew I couldn't act. So he knew that was the safest job for me to have, in front of the cameras. But that's how it happened.
Yeah, just because you were, again, right place, right time, and you had a cool walk, right? You had an interesting walk. And James, what about you?
Well, I had, at this point in the game, I had focused on writing and producing my own films. So I had, in my mind, I made a decision that I wasn't going to audition. If I got a call and someone wanted me to work, I did a couple of commercials, for friends. But other than that, I was just focused on making my own films. And so I moved back to Columbia, South Carolina, where I'm from, and bought a little place and just got to work. I was writing away, and I got a call from the stunt coordinator on Halloween 2018, who was also the coordinator on the Rob Zombie films. And he's like, hey Jimmy, we're doing another Halloween. I was like, dude, awesome, man, that'd be fun. And I knew they were shooting in South Carolina. I knew they were shooting in Charleston, but I wasn't going to reach out. I made a decision that I wasn't going to reach out for anything anymore. And so he said, yeah, well, so when I read the script, I called David Gordon Green and Malcolm Cobb and said, guys, the script is different than any other Halloween. The guy who plays Michael Myers is going to have really deep acting chops and be a really good stuntman. There's not many of those guys around. And David Gordon Green said, okay, well, he's got to be 6'5" to 200 pounds, and he's got to be in his 60s. Who do you know? And and Ron knew me for 30 years, but didn't think of me. So my good friends Jennifer and Chris Nielsen, he's a stunt performer. He said, well, Jimmy Courtney. So I got the call, and Ron said, you want to do it? I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I went down to Charleston, about an hour and a half away from where I live, and they put me on tape, and we talked about all things, killing. My first movie was, I played a psychopathic killer. I stayed the entire weekend in a lockdown with paranoid schizophrenia and some murderers. And, but they're all doing authority and shuffle, so, no one was all that dangerous. But I learned a lot about psychopathic killing and schizophrenia and all those fun little things. And so, talk about that and some other fun stuff. And, then I went out and got my pickup truck, because if you're going to sell it, you have to have a pickup truck. And I didn't even get on the parking lot. I got a call from Blumhouse in California, and they're like, are you available to shoot the film? I was like, yeah. So as an actor, that's the kiss of death. I mean, if someone reaches out and says, are you available? And then you get your hopes up, you never get it. So I just let it go. About 2 miles later, they called and said, David Gordon wants to meet you, can you come back? And the rest is history. As I understand it, as soon as Malik and David and all those guys met me, it was done. It was meant to be. Yeah.
Mainly it was just instinctual.
Yeah.
John didn't come up to me and go, here's what I want you to do. The only time I actually had that conversation when I asked him, this long shot at night, and said, you're going to see me walking, stalking her. What do you want? You want this or that or what? He said, just go over there. Come on, we only have 10 more minutes. Yeah. So, a lot of it was done, it's like the movie itself, everything suddenly, somehow, magically came together and made a great film.
Yeah.
Even this kind of stuff, that that you would think would have to be thought through and everything like that. James had the more difficult thing because now it's an iconic picture.
Right.
And now what do you do? You know, now what do? You manufacture it,
Yeah.
copy it, and then you have to think of all that. For me, it was easy. I just did it.
Well, that's a perfect segue into my question of like, so that stuff does become iconic. And many other actors after that who portrayed Michael Myers and portrayed the shape, put on the mask, kind of put their own spin on it. But you had the interesting task of matching, because it was a direct sequel, the original, of kind of matching that stuff, because to the audience, he's the same guy. He's aged, but he's the same Michael Myers. So how much of that did you study from Nick, but then still try and kind of age him? You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, what Nick created so naturally, if you look at Nick's filmography, writing, directing, he is naturally such a high creator. So, that role was filled by a high creator. It wasn't just some guy with a mask on and walking. And so Nick imbued that character with a level of creativity that was a really fertile ground, all right? And so there's a great old character actor named Ted Knight. Get Caddyshack, Favorite Town of More Show. I met him when I first moved to Hollywood, and he was very, very generous with me. And he gave me a gift as an actor. He said, if you're an actor, learn it anyway. The bartender, the guy walking in front of the street, your mother. But don't look at the way they move their hands, or don't try to talk the way they talk, or, reach inside their soul. And if you can grab their soul, you will do exactly what they do. You will move the way they move, you will speak the way they speak. And so I did that, I practiced that. And so when I got the call to go down to be put on tape, I wanted to understand what Nick had created. So I watched 1978 one time, and there's a scene where Nick is walking camera left to camera right in the backyard. And in my mind, again, I wasn't watching the way he walked, I wasn't looking for any of that. I was reaching into Nick's soul. And once, at a certain point in that scene, I went, I got it. You're not getting it back, buddy. And so I went, I got it. And so then what happened is, whatever Nick created that was drawn into me, into my being, then had to drive through the vehicle that is my body and my consciousness and my spirit. And so I have had the benefit of doing shamanic journeys in Peru with shaman, ayahuasca. I've done ibogaine with African shaman. I've done peyote rituals with North American First Nation shaman, and tons and tons of psychological work in terms of volunteering for family constellation therapy. So there's a whole litany of things that are built into my being that it's like a toolbox. And so what Nick created was implanted in me, and then Nick's creation had all these tools to play with. And that's the genesis of the character.
James, 5 years ago, Halloween 2018 was my Gateway Dragons horror, and I couldn't think enough. And Nick, thank you for portraying this character in the first place to create a legacy that will never die. Speaking of legacy, if there ever were a new portrayal of Michael Myers, what advice would you give to the actor to keep the legacy lived on and faithful to the character in the first place?
I would just say good luck.
Just walk from point A to point B. It'll be great.
Just walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's things like that. I would just say make it your own. I wouldn't want to poison a person's mind with my opinion, because I think if someone were hired, especially by the likes of David Gordon Green or someone like John Carpenter or any other brilliant person, obviously that person's got the goods. So, and that's the great thing about working with David Gordon Green is David. I got no direction on character from David, other than he wanted me to move like a cat. He called me up at my house. He goes, okay, let's talk about the character. Virginia, I want you to move like a cat. And I was like, funny, I got a cat in my lap, and I watched him, I got studied, I watched him kill. And he goes, okay, we're good. And that was it.
On what that collaboration was like with her. I mean, she is so special to all of us, and probably no more special to you two gentlemen. So what was that just kind of collaboration like on these films?
Well, I'll go first because you have more actually.
The Alpha and the Omega is right.
Yeah. No, you know, mainly when I worked with Jamie on the first picture, you know, I saw her, of course, in the sequels, the new ones, and we spent a little bit of time together just laughing about how crazy it was to be doing this 40 years later. But on the first one, she was a 19-year-old ingenue, you know, just a very pretty girl on the set, and I knew her parents she was a second-generation Hollywood kid, and I was a second-generation Hollywood kid. My dad was a choreographer. And we just talked about, you know, things and had a blast. You know, no one was iconic at that point. No one was a movie star. That's how I remember her. And in a way, that's who she is today. She has a big personality. And I think she's grown into that. But she's always been a very sweet woman. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I'm getting the tail end of this, and not only knowing, you know, what she did with Halloween, but her epic, you know, movie career, and a profoundly talented, you know, actor. She is such a profoundly intelligent, witty, self-deprecating woman. She's a poster child for an empowered woman. I was raised by a strong woman. I have a deep appreciation for strong women. I'm a firm believer in human empowerment, which absolutely includes empowering females, and I think we've got a long way to go with that. So to work with a woman who's that solid, that you know, she's been sober 22 years. She at that time she'd been sober 18 or 19, I don't know, but it was 2018. So I gave her space in the beginning. Because I didn't know how she worked as an actor. You always have to respect the way another actor works. So I gave her space. She came over and introduced herself to me. We had a brief chat, and then I didn't talk to her again until a couple weeks later when we were in the same makeup trailer. And all of a sudden she marches over and she goes, "Okay, let's talk about this fucking fight scene." And I was like, "All right, here we go, man. Now I want to see the real Jamie." And it was just really wonderful because she's such a pro. And in our business, the highest compliment you can give somebody is go, "You're a real pro." I mean, or that guy's a real pro. And Jamie is a real pro. And so, you know, to know that you're working with somebody who's going to give as much as she's going to get, who's going to get as much as she's going to give, who's going to be there 1,000%, that's Jamie. And so, you know, when Sarah and I were out in Hollywood, you know, and we saw her win the Oscars, we just had tears just rolling. I actually feel kind of emotional right now. Man, it makes me so happy to see this woman get the finally get the accolades she deserves because she deserves it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think this franchise is really special to, the horror community has felt so male dominated in so many ways, and yet there's so, like, Deborah Hill, Jamie in front of the camera, Deborah Hill behind it. This franchise, I think, and those movies are so important in that representation. I mean, you look out and horror represents all different types of people, not just straight white male dudes. And so, we love her so much for that, and I love that you all have that collaboration and that feels so part of it in spirit. So thank you both. I mean, this was like incredible. I got to work on the panels behind the scenes, and so I got to have fun with it, and it's kind of like a toy. So to get to pair you together in a conversation was so special, and it was everything I could have dreamed of and more. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Stick around.
Travelers, it is a super fun Saturday here at Frightmare. Oh my gosh, I cannot explain to you. If you have never experienced one, definitely try to come to one of these years. I know it's hard sometimes for people, and that's why I do what I do with my channel. I want to make it so that people who cannot afford to travel or afford to come to cons or get autographs can come and experience this with me. So I'm glad that you're with me, travelers.
Outside of the dorm, but we're so excited to have all of you together, and I can't wait for kind of the conversation that's to come. So, yeah, absolutely. I would love to kind of start off by just all of you probably got into acting not expecting to be known for playing these grotesque, horrifying, psychopathic, murderous monsters. But here you are, and you're icons, and I would like to kind of just go down the line and have you each kind of talk about what it's like to come to these conventions and see these characters represented and see what it means to everyone and see tattoos of these characters. Like, what has that been like in all of your careers to kind of embody these, you know, icons of horror? We'll go down the line, yeah.
It's really an unreal kind of experience because, well, of course, I never expected this when I started acting at age 5.
Yeah.
Especially not with a grotesque character like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
So that in itself is already like a huge leap and a skip and a jump away from what I was expecting when I was a kid. But oh my, to see people have the character tattooed and saying, hey, can you sign this? Can you sign that? Here's some merchandise. Here's little action figures. Like, oh my God. There's always new stuff every year. It's crazy.
Well, you have, yeah, I mean, like I said, you're single-handedly keeping Spirit Halloweens in business. But the crazy thing is, Trick or Treat was not, you know, what it was when it was released. It was kind of misunderstood, and then it found its audience. So you have the added thing of seeing Sam in like people's yards at Halloween, and it's you're like not only an icon of horror movies, you're just like an icon of the holiday of Halloween now. So
yeah, I thought that was a really interesting concept for the character as well. Like, it's the symbol of Halloween.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So that I thought was incredible. But yeah, it's hard to. Like I said, it's an unreal experience. It's hard, even though I'm like 24 now, I played it when I was 7.
Yeah.
All this time has passed, and I'm still like, no way.
Yeah.
So that's some of my experiences.
Yeah. Andrew?
So thankful to be here. And the first time.
Yeah.
First time at Texas Frightmare, so thank you all for being here. Thank you for making me part of the panel. Wishmaster changed my life, truly did. And for an actor to be able to sort of play that split personality, it was a challenge, but one that I was eager to go out and accomplish. Ever thankful as well to Robert Kurtzman, to KNB Effects, to Peter Atkins for the brilliant and I've seen a few tattoos, and it blows my mind. It really blows my mind. And I never would have thought that I'd be sitting here, going on 30 years, 25, and 30 soon to come. But thank you all for receiving that monster so well. And by the way, my fellow Big Brother monsters were quite amazing and helpful, and gave me a lot of advice, a lot of guidance. So again, just ever thankful to be here. Thank you.
I also thank you all for being here. Many years ago, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, and I've seen the show grow and grow and grow until it's become like this. So I'm also very, very grateful to be here. The interesting thing with me, with The Exorcist, is that besides playing Pazuzu, I also played Reagan when she was possessed by the demon, so of course I did all the fun things like masturbating, vomiting, dying, so that was fun.
Should be doing an exhibition later.
But the interesting thing is, I don't know how many of you know, is that Pazuzu, who's become the absolute icon of the whole movie, and Warner Brothers uses Pazuzu's face everywhere, and Pazuzu's totally on the new record album, and which blows me away, because Pazuzu was the last day that we shot The Exorcist after like 4.5 months. And I don't know exactly how it happened, but it came from a makeup test. And it almost didn't happen. And so we shot it on the last day. And so that's why I'm so thankful that, you know, the Zuzu has become what the Zuzu has become. And it's so much fun because scaring people, you know, so many of you have come to my table and said, I ruined your childhood. You know, I love the fact that we have that gun fans and that, I mean, that's why we're here. I think films that you aren't moved by, that you don't laugh, cry, hate, some kind of identification in a film, then the film doesn't work. But we've all affected you in some way or another, which is why we're here and do that. And since The Exorcist, I've done nothing but horror films, and which is fine with me. They don't cast me as moms. You know, for whatever reason. And so I've had totally 16 indie films in the last year and a half, and they're probably all in Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi.
So yeah, I'm extremely grateful to be here, and I thank all you guys, and I'm glad I scared the shit out of you.
Mr. Cryptkeeper? Well, amen. You know, I'm just grateful that, you know, this is a character that I love. I mean, I collected the comic books as a kid, so it was, you know, to be known for a character that you love, because you could very easily wind up at one of the characters that you hated for, like, where they hate your shit and treated you terribly, and everybody knows you for it. You know, like, really? I mean, I would still come sign for fans because you deserve it, but at the same time, I'm just grateful that it's something that I truly love doing. If I wasn't having a good time being here, yes, you know. Yeah. If I truly wasn't, it's trying so hard to be the Crypt Keeper, that child. I mean, it's great that you're still scaring new generations of fans. Well, you know, the Crypt Keeper is the gateway drug to horror. Yeah. I mean, I said that jokingly, but people always go, yeah, that's true. It's because it is. It's, you know, who wouldn't walk past the TV set and hear that voice and see that creepy puppet? And he's going, hello, kiddies. It's like he's a kid show host. That scares the shit out of you. And then it's like the roller coaster where they say, I need to get on that roller coaster. And they're like, I'm not getting on that thing. But once you do, it's like, I want one bigger. I want one scarier. You know, and the Crypt Keeper was kind of that effect. And I'm really glad I get to share that, you know, at the conventions with fans and truly have great conversations. And so many people go, oh, you were my childhood. I mean, that's not what we were expecting to hear. But it is the truth, right? It is the truth. But thank you guys for being here.
I think echo what everybody said. I'm just so grateful to be here. I mean, for a very long time, I had one fan, and it was my mom. And so, you know, to have, like, it's real. Like, you know, the longest time it was like, I mean, people who thought I was some overnight success with Pepper, like, didn't know that I'd been, you know, I mean, I got my SAG card on my 22nd birthday, on my 15th birthday, and it wasn't until I was 37 that I actually made SAG insurance. So, you know, there was 22 years there where I was, you know, performing for no one. And so, thank you for finally showing up. So crazy to me. Like, I look out and there's this like sea of black t-shirts and, you know, purple hair and tattoos, and I'm like, how did I get here? You know what I mean? How did I get invited to this party? Like, don't you know I'm like the biggest square, you know? So it's awesome.
Yeah, you absolutely deserve it. You got here by sharing your voice. All right, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Way down there. How crazy is this for you? Because Megan comes out, and you know, horror fans show up to see every horror movie, but every once in a while, a horror fan or a horror movie will hit with it'll kind of impact pop culture, and it'll become this thing that's bigger than the movie, and that's thanks in a large part to your dancing skills. I know different people portray different aspects of Megan, but some would say the true Megan is the dancing Megan, and that is you. And you know, thanks also to TikTok and everything. I mean, this has to just be, you're how old? You're 12, 13?
I'm 13.
This has to be like insane to you, right?
It is, because I never thought that I would get into acting. I never thought that that was the way I was going to go. But because my dance teacher, she was always telling me that I perform really well in my dances emotionally. So she was always telling me that I needed to start going for roles in acting. But even when I was doing auditions, I didn't know I was going for the role of Megan. So when I landed it, I was completely mind blown, and everyone is so nice, and I'm just so happy that everyone loves Megan because she is my and I love that everyone is like doing the dances on TikTok. I think that's pretty cool. But I'm still in shock. Like I didn't expect it to be this big. Like,
Yeah. And so much of that.
Be happy doing it for Joel Silver and Dick Donner, the biggest guys in the business at the time. And like, great, we'll see you on the stage. You know, and that may be one of the easiest jobs I ever got in my life. But that the voice was really based on, you know, what I thought would marry well not only with the show, but marry well with the, you know, the creation that Kevin made.
Amazing.
Statements for the Exorcist Queen. Thank you for scaring the shit out of me. I love the movies.
Hello, my name is Brittany, and I have a question for both John and Wishmaster. For John, I don't know how you can answer this, but I've always been wondering for a while. How the heck, in the early 2000s, the Crypt Keeper puppet wind up on Kids WB when other channels did not want anything to do with it, like ABC?
That's funny. An old girlfriend was putting those bumpers together. There's actually part truth to that, but she just happened to be in that position. But you know, it was funny because I was always telling the producers that Tales from the Crypt, you know, as the gateway drug to horror, was being watched by kids, and they didn't believe it. And I was like, back to the live action one. They're gonna do, you know, they're gonna do Goosebumps and stuff like that. They're like, nah, it's too scary. You know, it works best in the original cartoon. We're gonna do the game show. We're gonna do stuff for kids. And I was like, okay, you know. And so out of the blue, they had a block of, because they were doing Goosebumps, they had a block of WB kids and they were going to do these, and they saw how popular the genre was for kids that age. So we're like, great, you know, the kid jumped, you know, Crypt Keeper calls everybody kitties, and she wrote Pal, the Crypt Keeper, and they just thought he had this kid show vibe that would be perfect for them.
Thank you. And Wishmaster, what did you think about that one character who accidentally wished he was a zit?
Say that again, please.
What did you think about that one character who accidentally wished he became a zit?
Having grown up with a bad zit problem of my own, you know, that's very kind of a oddly personal question.
I'm sorry!
No, it's kind of nice. I mean, just to do that, my only reference to that is actually being a very shy kid in high school, and I have the, and I guess I'm thankful for it now. I have the scars left over from that, and I think the mental ones have sort of melted away. But it was quite a bullying time. So a thing like that to sort of enjoy a wish like that is totally the other side of that coin. But thank you for the sick cream.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for all being here. First and foremost, this question is directed to John Kassir. As you know, we were able to discover the footage for the canceled Tales PC game a while back.
Yes.
So
Thank you for putting that all out.
No problem. No problem. So my question is, with the canceled PC game made by Inkscape, what details do you have about it when it came to your contributions for the game and its production? And if given the opportunity, despite the rights issue, would you reprise the role under a different banner, such as Supermassive Games, who made the Dark Pictures anthology?
This feels like a loaded question. Yeah, a business proposal right here.
Well, you know, I mean, obviously nobody would be happier than me if any of those things came to fruition, you know. I mean, I get a lot of questions about the rights to Tales from the Crypt, and, you know, obviously the rights were based on the comic book. And, you know, Bill Gaines was alive when he licensed Tales from the Crypt to the producers of our show, who were some of the biggest producers in the business. And they made 7 years of a series and 3 movies and, you know, record albums and the whole deal. And then when they thought it was done, of course they let the rights lapse because they're not cheap. So, you know, when Mr. Gaines died, they reverted back to Gaines' family, and then it's probably somewhere at EC Comics who's not in the industry wanted to create some crazy money or anything like that. But in the meantime, we had a guy named Jack Wall who sadly died a couple of years back. He was an old advertising guy, and that was his job. I used to call him a finger pin. But he didn't really like that very much. But, you know, because he would come up with, he was the one who got the Crypt Keeper to do Universal Studios and to do Not Scary Farms and to do Bud Light commercials and stuff like that. And he was always working on stuff. And he came, you know, he was the one that brokered putting together a game. Obviously, these adventure games. I mean, you're looking at the original guy from the original Zelda commercial. Zelda. You know, look it up on YouTube, you'll free. You know, I got me in that hair. You know, we thought it could be something really cool when those kind of games were coming out. I don't know exactly what happened to it. I had recorded a lot of stuff. You know, I got paid. You know, that show was always expensive to do, so I didn't get paid a crap load of money or whatever. But it was disappointing, and I think probably just the idea the game got surpassed so much by other games. They were progressing so quickly that it was, you know, maybe it became something that was not quite as advanced as some of the games. But now you know it has potential because people, first of all, like the idea of a throwback game and something that's simple, but then you can put something on it, you know. Hey, let's go listen to some vinyl, right? But I would certainly reprise anything that they gave me with Tales from the Crypt. I collected the comic books as a kid, something that I loved always, and I think nobody would probably be happier than me, not only as for the job part of it, but also for the nostalgia of it and the franchise that I would enjoy. But it's really hard to get the rights back. You know, the sad part is this Crypt Keeper stays with us because it's our version of the Crypt Keeper. But the Tales from the Crypt stays with the PC Comics because they own it. So, you know, there are those episodes. How they'll ever wind up on streaming or something, I don't know. I think because Jack is gone, there's nobody actually driving that right now. You know, I'll look into it. That's what I would do. That's the best I can say. I would do it.
Thank you, John.
Just in the event that this would come up, have the music queued up. All right, now, can everyone see? All right, do you want to come down and do it down there?
Just right at me, you can kill me when you get here.
Okay, travelers, you know I am a huge drive-in mutant, and look at this awesome Joe Bob cosplay, and complete with the drive-in totals. We are all about the blood, breast, and beast here at the Horror Green Book. Awesome job.
Drive-in never dies.
Drive-in never dies. Alright, that's one of the last panels for the night, so people are letting out to unwind for a bit. I'm doing the same myself. Though exhausted, we still got to push through it, travelers. We still got a couple more hours left to go. Karaoke's a little bit later, a few movies are screening, so we'll get straight to it. Woo, high five! We have the hallway from Karaoke. It's been a blast. It is close to midnight now. Okay, it's night 2, travelers. It has been crazy. Oh my goodness. Lots of panels. Met Sam Raimi. Watched 2 great movies. Caught a little bit of Karaoke. Saw more friends that I didn't get a chance to see the previous day, and now it's almost midnight and it's time for me to call it a night. But there's one more day here at Texas Frightmare weekend, so I promise you we are going to make the most of it. So catch you tomorrow, travelers. Day number 3, travelers. Let's see what we're gonna get into. Making the day 3 trek as we see all the people lining up before the doors open. Day 3 is the day where you find the best deals from your vendors, because of course they do not want to pack up their inventory and take it back home with them. They much rather sell it. And I hope they make a killing, no pun intended, at Texas Frightmare. The line is massive. This is where you can really tell that this is one of the largest horror conventions in the country. I mean, there are people that come from all over to come to Texas to really enjoy a horrifying time. The line is moving.
Dakota, was that something that you kind of latched on to when you read the script?
Oh, of course, you know, a lot of people know that this is my first movie.
Started small.
So, I mean, you know, like Amber, I didn't know what the movie was while I was auditioning. I was like, man, maybe I'll get Comanche #3 in a TV Canada movie, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was just hoping to get a credit, like something. But to then be a part of, something that really took the time to do things correctly, just like she said, it's been not done correctly so often, and growing up in the Southwest of my family and my friends, it was important to me. And Jane Meyer, she was the producer on this movie, powerful Native lady, but also, a mother and auntie, I call her Paha, which means auntie in Comanche. She's, certainly, I consider her a piece of my family now. And watching her just make these decisions over and over and over again when it comes to, like the wardrobe was done by Stephanie Important. Is that, her name?
Yes.
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady, but she's not Native. But she would come to Jane over and over and over again, and Jane would say, "This isn't right, and this isn't right, and this is right, and this is right." And watching her.
Really made pieces for the
Yeah, she's like, this cradle board is terrible. Just give it to me. And she went back to her hotel room and just made this beautiful cradle board. She's just a deadly lady.
First place to call was for best creature effects. Dave, can you kind of talk about your experience of putting the suit on for the first time, like seeing yourself as the Predator?
Yeah, I mean, you grow up with this omnipresent monster that exists in the cinematic world, and you see it and you hear about it. Everyone, except for Andrew, apparently knows what the Predator is.
I knew what it was, okay?
But it's almost like myth. And you hear about this thing, you know about it, and then you become this. You are this thing, and you put on that foam latex for the first time. There was a process, a fitting process of this suit. It was a work in progress. The first time, fully painted, everything together with the dreads. Down, you see all 12 of his abs. My head was in the neck of this character, so I'm looking down, and the dreads are hanging, and it's like, holy crap, this is real. And it's very difficult to describe it. It's empowering. You are this thing, you are this extraterrestrial hunter that is a beast, and it's very difficult to describe. It's taking, not that I have, taking the drug almost. And I used to play professional basketball, and it's like being out on the court. It's giving you this power and energy. So just being able to portray this iconic thing that existed. And, every morning I would wake up and the 4 seconds was like, I'm the Predator. I forgot. So there you go.
Wait, okay, I have
I'm 6'8".
So, yeah, we know. Okay, so I didn't really think of this. You could never actually see yourself. You couldn't look in the mirror because you had to look at. So, did it feel more like, oh, I'm in a big suit, or did you look at yourself and connect what you look like to how you feel?
Yeah, that makes sense. I know what you're saying. It's a weird thing because there's also the factor of when you're inside a 60-pound foam latex costume with a 15-pound head on, in the middle of summer, it's so hot, and it's very, your body goes into this mode where you're just kind of preserving everything you possibly can in terms of energy and sweat and body temperature regulation. So you kind of go into this space I'm sure you guys saw some of in between takes. I'll just be sitting there, this kind of 1,000-yard stare.
Like the meme.
Like the meme, yes, I was using it a lot. But that wasn't me just I was just in it, There's some BTS footage of Coco jumping off my back a lot. And I'm really still. When the head goes on, I'm just in it. I'm the Predator. And yes, there were times where it goofed off, but more often than not, especially when you're shooting, the Predator, you're not dating anywhere. have to think that way because, obviously the characters you guys play, you're thinking as Abed, you're not thinking as who you are as a person. And I was just in Predator mode. But no, I did not have the luxury of looking at myself in the mirror and being like, I told you. When we wrapped the movie, I was like, I can't wait to see this. I haven't seen a damn thing.
So Amber, so that you did get to see him and step out as the Predator, and you weren't have a destructive view. So what did it feel like when you saw it all put together for the first time?
I believe when I saw him for the first time, it was like there was some secret text happening inside the woods somewhere. It was like we were shooting something, and then slowly all the people started to get pulled away, and I was like, where's the people going? And then people told me, and then I saw Dan walk away, and I was like, oh, what a cool thing. So I walked into the woods, and I saw this little commotion, and then I saw a kid, and I was like, and I believe I was first mesmerized, and then I think my first words were, I can take them.
Dane, you're a very physical dude. You were a basketball player. You grew up as a fan of Predator movies. So where is how much do you look at previous performances and take from that, but then also inflict your own and think okay, this is how this particular Predator moves and acts?
Sure, yeah. When we first started out in pre-production, Dan, in all of our COVID Zoom meetings, Dan kind of gave us a bunch of parameters to operate in. But Dan really stressed upon wanting a different type of Predator here. And what Kevin, and Ian, and everyone did before me was amazing. Obviously, Kevin paving the way for all of that. But at the time, it was 1987. WWF was a big thing, and Dan did not want a lumbering, standoffish, sluggish, wrestler Predator. And he gave us a few, words like feral, primal, and ballistic that we had to operate on. And it was nice for me because I wasn't tasked with essentially copying what Kevin did, which was very difficult. And it kind of gave me a lot of headroom and ceiling space to create my own way, and which is also a lot of pressure as well, because if what I do is stupid, then that's on me, whereas I could just copy Kevin, difficult task. So it was kind of both ways on that, but we really wanted a dynamic, faster Predator, essentially, more athletic, more ferocious, and listen, I'm just a flesh puppet. I wear art, I wear what Alec and Tom created, and all of the painters and all of the mold makers and everyone down to punching all the spines that come out of my shoulders. I'm just the guy who drives them. I'm wearing art, and it's a giant jigsaw puzzle, and everything comes together nicely, and I'm just happy that this Predator turned out so cool, and I was given the keys to the car essentially for driving this thing. And it's my job to make these two look like badasses, which was a very easy thing to do because they already are. And just, look at our fight scenes with, both of them. Both of them was very difficult.
Super easy to come in.
All right, we got some Amber, Mid-Thunder, and Dakota from Prey.
Well, you know him as Marco, a member of the blood-sucking Brady Bunch. And you know him as a prolific director as well, so I'm excited to talk to him about all of his things on screen, behind the camera, and everything in between. So let's bring him out, Mr. Alex Winter! What's up, man?
How you doing?
So this is, of course, a horror convention, so we have to start with the Lost Boys. There's no place better to start. We were talking backstage. That movie, if you're of a certain generation, I I think kind of hits in two places. Either you were kind of that teen age, or you were born in 1984 like me, or you wish you were born in the 80s and found it later, but it was such a gateway horror movie for a lot of people. It was you know, a lot of our first horror movie that we saw, and there was something so different about it, and I think that was, it's this, like, every time I watch it, I feel like I'm under the spell of the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
I think it's the fashion, the music, you know, everything, starting with Joel Schumacher, the production design by Bo Welch, the costume design is iconic from Susan Becker.
Yeah.
But it just is, like, it's the sexiest movie ever made. I mean, it really, like, not only the sexiest vampire movie, it just takes the title for sexiest movie. Like, when you're in it, or you're all kids, you know, for some of you it's your first movie, did it feel that way on set?
Boy, it's hard to give that a short answer. You know, yes and no, right? When you're making something, you're excited, so it's you, and movies are made in pieces,
right?
So you never really get a sense of the whole. I can tell you that I'd been in the business a really long time when I did that film, and it was very evident even in the casting stage, even in the early pre-meeting the director casting stage, that it was a film everybody wanted to be in.
Yeah.
So there had this kind of aura around it. I got pulled in by a casting director named Marion Darty, who was kind of a legend in the casting world. And she just said, I want you to read. And I read, and then she wanted me to meet Joel, and then I met Joel, and he was incredible. And I met Richard Donner, and all he wanted to know was if I was actually bullshitting about knowing how to ride a motorcycle. He just said, everyone who comes into your lives grass off about riding. And I was like, well, I ride all day, every day, I actually ride. So the whole thing had this weird aura around it. You know, I got to know Joel quite well, so later he told me, I think he's spoken about this publicly, he's not around anymore, but I mean, the studio didn't feel that way. Like, the studio was very doubtful. They were very skeptical about the movie. It didn't really understand it.
Yeah, and it started as a very different movie.
Well, that's where I was going with it. So the script I got, even those early reads, was very different than the movie we made. It was Jeffrey Blum's, and Jeffrey was great. I hung out with him quite a bit, and a few other writers, and we were like riding Triumphs, and we had like black leather motorcycle jack. It was very much like Brando or Dean sort of reference, right? And it was very straight down the line, like tough street kids, like you would imagine. And then I got to wardrobe and like makeup and hair, like way before I went to shoot. I was like, what are we doing? Like, then they put these extensions on me.
Wait, that was your real hair.
And then, like, you know, I get to wardrobe, and it's amazing. Like, I chose that jacket because I was like, I got there early. Susan was like, you can have whatever you want. I was like, really? I can have that? She's like, yeah, she's like, you're an idiot if you don't take that jacket.
Yeah, you're like, of course I'm going to choose the most iconic jacket.
I'm taking all the cool stuff here, and everyone else can just suck it. So that's what I did. And that's why they're all in black, and I've got all these colors to describe everything that look cool. But that'll teach you to show up late for your wardrobe. And I was like, what is this movie exactly, right? And even people were like, we were talking this, like, you know, they were doing all this hair stuff on him. We were like, what have we got ourselves into? And then I got to Santa Cruz on the first day that I was shooting, or like that week that I was shooting, and it was literally the night they were shooting the Tim Capello sax scene. And I was like, what? Leave and then, you know, you start to do it because you trust Joel because he was so amazing. Like, you can, like you said, you had Bo, you had Susan, you had like Michael Chapman shooting, and you shot Raging Bull.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was like, okay, it's like the greatest crew in the world. Joel seems to know what he's doing, but it was unsettling. And it really wasn't until we had fun, but it wasn't until I went to see the cast and crew screening. And it doesn't often happen when you're in stealth, and I'm not in that much of it, so it's different, I think. But I was totally blown away. I think everybody from the cast and crew, from that first shot over the water, was like, oh, okay, this is actually really good. All right. Okay, thank God. You know. So we had kind of the same journey I think, with it. 'Cause it's a very weird movie, and it could very easily have failed.
Yeah, originally it was intended to be much gorier, and they actually even shot some tests and shot some actual scenes that then they cut down, and there was this kind of test footage of the beach kind of massacre of Kiefer, like, and you and all four of you like biting into the like surf Nazis and ripping the scalp off, and it's still. You still kind of get a glimpse of it in the movie.
Yeah.
Do you have any recollection of like on set shooting all the actual gore effects?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually told the story yesterday. I really wanted to kill somebody violently because I'm supposed to be a bad person. And so I asked Joel if they could build, and I was friends with the kid who played the Mohawk circle.
Yeah.
So I was like, can I like rip his entire Mohawk off? Because it'd be very satisfying. And so he liked the idea, so we went to Greg Canham, and Greg built a piece for that actor. So we had like a flesh piece, very gory. Like the whole scalp basically came off, and blood everywhere, and flesh everywhere. And Kiefer had the idea of biting into the other guy's head.
Yeah.
So it just came from us. Like we just got all, excited about the idea of we're gonna have a murder scene, like let's kill people.
Yeah.
And also we knew it would have a shock value of like, because the film has like I saw it with my youngest son for the first time at a screening in England last year. And he was like, the whole movie's just like laughing, like, oh, this is a riot, this is hilarious. And then that happens, like, oh. It was like this hard thing.
Yeah.
And so we knew as actors that would be the case on the audience. And we were like pushing Joel, like, I know Warner's is sweating you, but can we at least drive this thing in a more violent direction for that sequence? And he was up for it, so we shot it. It is, to be fair to Joel, it is all in there.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's actually gone.
Oh, okay.
It's just really fast.
Yeah.
So like Kiefer, but that may even be more effective. Like Kiefer biting that guy's head is super effective.
And the spray.
And I ripped the guy, we catch that, it's there. So I think it had the right effect. And what's the rating of it? You guys remember? Is it R or PG-13?
I think for R.
It's R, right?
I was like, for the 80s, it's probably PG.
Well, I mean, that was my point. Like, it was no more violent than Indy 2, right?
Right.
With the heartbeat like
Gave
that.
us
It's PG-13.
Yeah.
But you're Steven Spielberg, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Because I remember seeing Jaws, which was PG when I was 10, and I was like, I still had PTSD.
So there's a full nude woman in the opening scene, and it's like a PG movie.
Yeah. So we were under the impression we could shove it a little further down the line gore-wise, but I think Joel was getting really pressured from the studio to not go that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think there are a lot of Sleepaway Camp fans in the house? I think so.
To the stage, Christopher Collett. Karen Fields. Catherine Downey. Tom Vandell. I think we have one more, is that right? Melissa Rose?
I'm 175 years old, so they need that.
Hey, by the way, who wants to sing happy birthday?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Felissa. Happy birthday to you.
I love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Stuff and I almost think I love practical. I'm a big practical effects nut because I think that's where the real artistry lies for me. You know, it's not 150 to a positive. I love
so cool just to see what people come up with here. It's amazing.
Thank you.
This is a question for Felissa. So for the final scene, did Robert Hiltzik ever ask you to wear a strap-on?
Hi, I'm Melissa Rose. I'm sorry, Zane. We're getting real close right now. We had 2 auditions. So I auditioned for Robert Hiltzik. It was just he and I, the way all the other actors met our director. And then at the callback, the producers came into the room and spoke to the parents. And they asked my mom. And my mom just said, yeah, sure, she can do anything. I'm sorry. Let me. Oh my God, yeah, she can totally do it as she That's my character from Victor Crowley.
Can I interject, if you haven't seen Victor Crowley, I had no idea who she steals the movie. You are so funny.
It was such a fun role. Thank you. Adam Green is the best. He's amazing. He wrote every word in that character. But they did ask, and at first it was like, okay, whatever. And Ed French, our effects artist, said, I can't do that because I don't know how to create her body. So then they decided they'd make the mask and put it on a boy, and that worked out way better in the long run. I'm sorry for everybody. That worked out really well because I was, I had boobs, so it would have been difficult, to do that whole naked. Right? I was 13. I had no boobies, but things have changed.
I heard you haven't been eating. Can I take you back to the kitchen? I'm sure. Ladies, do you remember the arm wrestling and mud wrestling scene that they did with Mel?
Why do you remember that?
Why didn't you feel that way? That would have been great.
Yeah, that's making out within those lips,
Those lips. I remember giving
You guys are best. And thank you.
We love you so much.
Alright, making the way out of Sleepaway camp panel, and I will do the loop back around for the Killer Klowns 35th anniversary panel. Making our way through, travelers, making our way through. Follow the line for the Killer Klowns. So excited for this panel. Killer Klowns turned 35 years old yesterday. So it's quite the occasion to see the Kyoto brothers and the actors from the film. I'm looking forward to it.
It's okay. Don't be sad yet. We still have a final few hours and we've saved some of the best for last. We kind of have something fun for the last 2 panels. This is our clown double feature. We're taking it out. Last panel of the day, right after this, will be for Terrifier. But of course, you know what you're here for. The first one of 2 of that double feature is for Killer Klowns from Outer Space!
Yeah!
This will be by far the most colorful panel in more ways than one. I see we have a few of our friends from outer space joining us. Hello, fellas. This is also the kind of most robust, packed panel that we've had all of Texas Frightmare weekend this weekend. That is, of course, because the fine folks at Frightmare have put together could be one of the most complete Killer Klowns reunions for the 35th anniversary. So who's ready for In Space, No One Can Eat Ice Cream? 35 years of Killer Klowns around space. Let's bring out first the bros behind this visionary film, Charles Chiodo, Edward Chiodo, and Steven Chiodo.
Yeah!
So as I said, this is a packed table, so I'm going to stand. We ran out of chairs and we only have enough mics, and so some people are going to have to share, and we figured since you're brothers, and you probably grew up learning about sharing with each other, that should be you. But let's bring out the rest of our cast. Grant Kramer! Garrett Blake! Alan Wilson! Michael Arcego! Mike Martinez! And Susan Snyder! All right, so we'll just start off, just to read the room. Does anyone have, I believe it's pronounced calrophobia, which is actually the medical term for a fear of clowns, because you're in the wrong fucking room. If you do, I mean, look, there's a Pennywise walking in. What other place other than Texas Frightmare Weekend could you see Pennywise, the Killer Klowns, and Art the Clown from Terrifier hanging out? I'm sure there's a Joker, and yeah, there's a Joker. There we go. Round of applause there. Wow, this is amazing. I want to start with the brothers down here. Given what we know, a kind of glimpse into your collective psyches from the vision and the aesthetics and all that is Killer Klowns, what was it like a Chiodo childhood, the household of the Chiodo family? Take us through it. What was that growing up situation like?
We were watching monster movies.
Yeah, it wasn't the classic King Kong, it was Godzilla. Joe Young, all the great movies, Ray Harryhausen, Sinbad, Jason in Yard House.
Willis O'Brien, all those names. And we didn't know how they were done, but we were drawn to them. Mom and Dad saw it, and they took us to see 20,000 Leagues, not 20,000 Leagues, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, Giant Behemoth, all those movies. Journey to the Center of the Earth, Seven Voyages, Sinbad. They got it. They nurtured it.
And then we were down in the basement making movies on our 8mm camera. Then we went to Super 8 and started making monster movies around the neighborhood.
We did go to the circus, but I didn't have a horrible experience.
I did.
We can tell. So parents let this be a lesson. Support your kids, support their weird loves of things, because they could grow up to ruin people's childhoods one day.
Yeah.
It's incredible what y'all have done. I can think of very few horror filmmakers, just filmmakers in general, that, you know, beginning to end, top to bottom, the vision started and ended with you, but then you actually did. I mean, the aesthetics, the kind of cotton candy neon world of Killer Klowns, all the effects, everything. You were a one-stop shop. How early on did that aesthetic kind of emerge, and was it always there, and how did it develop and evolve?
I think it comes from what we grew up with. We grew up in the time of the vintage Looney Tunes, the Warner Brothers, the Three Stooges, the Little Rascals, Hal Roach, you know, and Mad Magazine, Mort Trucker, Jack Davis, all those images stayed in my mind, and basically they come out whenever we have a project. I impart the characters that I love into what we do.
Yeah, and then there's also the sci-fi movies, Forbidden Planet, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Crawling Eye. So it's really an amalgamation of all of those things put together. And all we want to do is just make a movie that we wanted to see.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you guys like it.
And when you come up with a title called Killer Klowns from Outer Space, it sort of writes itself, you know, just that's a mind, just the opportunities of all the clowns, circus, mime, you know, just imagery out there. Just kind of riff and have fun.
Yeah, you make a list of everything that you see in a carnival, in a clown, in a circus, you know, and then you say, how can we mess that up? How we can give it a Keeler Brothers twist?
Or candy-coated kill, as we call it.
So you know, you're writing, you're directing, you're doing the effects. That's your background. You're developing this, and then how was it much of a fight to say, but we have to be the guys all the way. We have to do all of this stuff. This is the kind of delineation or divvying up of the work of who's going to do what, but this is the only way the movie gets made if we do it.
The Transworld experience was they didn't even know what we were giving them. So they let us alone in terms of that. The problems we were having is, you know, in terms of scheduling, and they wanted to take shortcuts and stuff, and they didn't appreciate or understand what we were doing.
Yeah, it's funny. They luckily they were having a problem movie in production that was in Sri Lanka, so all the executives were out of the country when we were shooting this movie, so we were kind of left to our own. But you know, they did trust us when it came to the effects. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to make the movie with us. So we called in every favor on all the effects artists, countless people that we've known and loved and worked with, and so they really did like an incredible solid to bring the art of this movie to life. We couldn't have done it without, you know, Gene Warren, Leslie Huntley from Fantasy 2, Dwight Roberts,
Joe Viscoso.
Yeah, Joe Viscoso
Blew up the ice cream truck, and he blew up the
Death Star, you know. So we had this amazing talent, and again, the Transworld people didn't kind of have a clue as to what all that was. They just let us do it, and.
But it was different than our other productions. We didn't do everything. In fact, it was our first motion picture, so we had a crew of people. There were a lot of talented people, makeup people, teamsters, somebody had to drive those trucks, and a DP, so there was a really great community. And of course, our actors. Before we had always had our neighborhood people were our actors, or our puppets that we animated frame by frame were our actors, but instead we had a wonderful cast of characters that helped us bring Killer Klowns to life.
And they bring themselves into it, and they make it better.
So absolutely, yeah. I'm curious on both sides. The gentleman that kind of, you know, gave birth to this, and then for your experience now, 35 years later, you know, aesthetically, you know, of course, there's many horror films that have become iconic for their characters and their costumes and everything, but I can't think of another horror movie that the whole world has been kind of iconic. It's given us action figures in video games and Halloween Horror Nights, haunted houses, and, you know, all kinds of crazy spin-offs. It's informed kind of a whole vibe, if you will. What is that like to kind of see that world, you know, of color like splash off the page of what you created and what y'all lived in all these years later?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. We never expected this.
Yeah, like Steven said before, we spend a movie that we would like to go see, and the fact that it resonates with you 35 years later is really a testament to you guys, you know?
Especially the horror community. It's not really a horror film, it's more of a sci-fi comedy with a lot of horror elements, but I'm really glad that you guys embrace it the way you have over the years.
Yeah, it's really thrilling and humbling to realize that you've touched the nerves of so many people, you know, and we share the laughter, we share the fears. It's neat.
You know you've really made it with a horror film when you become immortalized in Halloween decorations. when you know you have Trick or Treat on one side and then Killer Klowns basically keeping Spirit Halloween in business every year, you know you've done something right. So yeah. What about y'all? Because coming in as actors, this is a weird, wonderful, wild world, you know, that has to be so fun to play in. What was your first experience coming in this movie being like, what have we got ourselves into here?
I thought the Kyoto brothers were insane. I thought they were the craziest people I had ever met. I mean, they're totally normal, but they knew what they wanted, and we were pawns, right? I mean, they literally, it was like, we need you to do it this way, and why? You know, well, because I got this thought that it needs to be done this way, and they were right. You know, anything as an actor, sometimes a director will tell you to do something, and you know it's not going to work. Well, Stephen would say things sometimes, and you think, it's not going to work. Right? I mean, all of it did, for all of us. I mean, hats off to these three men. They're remarkable.
The thing about Killer Klowns is we were doing not a parody, and that's what we wanted to make. It wasn't a parody. We just switched it up. We gave the alien invasion movie a spin. convincing, authorities that something was killing, was invading the planet, killing people was hard enough. We just said, what if it was clowns killing people with cotton candy and popcorn? Imagine trying to convince somebody of that. So that's where it came from. The direction was, play it straight. This is really happening. It's not a joke. We always took the jokes out.
Absolutely. So if you want to ask a question, go ahead and line up here and we'll get with you in a second. I have to imagine for the cast that getting to walk onto set and just see everything, this like crazy neon cotton candy world, it must have been this weird juxtaposition of like, oh my gosh, this is so fun to play in, but kind of terrifying at the same time. What was that like, just kind of living in this world as you're making the movie?
Well, we were kind of pretty into it even before the movie started. I think we got invited to go out to their studio, their workshop, while they were still kind of sculpting all of the masks and everything like that. So, at least for me, it was really exciting because I knew they were so creative and they were making all of these super cool creatures. And then when we were on the we were shooting the movie, we were shooting all night shoots, but they had a warehouse that all the interior spaceship stuff was in. So that was all being painted and created while we were there. So that was pretty cool too. So we couldn't wait for the last week when we actually went into the spaceship sets and started, we saw them filling up the balloons and the ballroom and all that different kind of stuff. And so it was super cool, and we were, I think, just all a little bit in awe of all of the creative madness that was happening around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Did any of you get to go through the Halloween Horror Nights house?
I did. I went with you.
Yeah, so I'm curious what the kind of parallel of that experience of like, you're making the movie, obviously the movie comes out and we watch it as a movie, and it's fun and it's scary because we're experiencing it as a movie, but on set, your action cut, you're kind of getting taken in and out of it, but then getting to experience it going through the haunted house must have been kind of like a new level of terror. What was that experience like? Was that kind of like surreal in a way?
So I got to go through it with my son.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And it's, you make a film as an actor, and then it does this, and you don't really realize the effect that your performance and the film that you make can have on others. You're doing your work and you're making friends with people. And I think going through Halloween Horror Nights was the beginning of really understanding just what had been created.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna. Thanks, man. Thanks for being with us for your first convention. Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
I have a question for the Shuttle Brothers and a request for Grant. My first question is, I'm super inspired by the visual effects in y'all's movie, the costumes, the clowns, everything. And one of my dreams is to go to Stanley School of Arts to learn visual effects. And I want to know, what is a good start for someone my age so I can start prepping for that?
And focus on what your strongest skill set is, whether it's writing, sculpting, painting, drawing. What is your strongest artistic strength, and go out into the marketplace that way.
Yeah, you want to do whatever you do. Like Charlie draws on everything. Every day he's drawing. So
I'm getting,
find your
I have no
passion
sense now, I'm getting
and just and do it. Keep doing it. The beginning it won't be great, but the next day it'll be better, and the day after that even better.
Thanks, man. Good luck. I like a lot. I get to host a lot of these, and a lot of people will say, "I want to be a writer. I want to be a director. How do I do that?" It's like, well, you're right. You direct. But I love that at Texas Frightmare there are budding effects people, because I don't think that's as clear of a path. We do have great schools like Stan's School and Tom's School, but to all of you budding effects maestros, you're in the right room asking the right questions of these guys.
The second part, the second answer to his question was from the actor.
Yeah.
what do you pursue if you want to be an actor, a performer? Yeah, that's the second part of his question.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
You want to know how you pursue, not just...
Oh, how you get into acting? Is that what the question was?
If you wanted to do that.
He's right there.
Well, depending on, if you're probably still in school, obviously, right? So probably the best thing to do if you're still in school is get involved in some of the school plays and things like that. And I mean, listen, acting, I'm not going to lie to you, it's not an easy profession. So you have to kind of fall in love with it, and because you get a lot of rejection, you get a lot more no's usually than you get yeses. So you have to love it so much that you're willing to wade through those no's to be able to get the yeses. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but for every one role that I got, I can't even count the number. I mean, now I'm a producer, and for every one movie I get made, there's like 20 that I spend, thousands of hours on. It's just roadkill, at the end of the day. So you've got to love doing this.
That's it.
And if you love doing this, then you like I said, I would get involved in plays, and then find out if there's a local acting class anywhere you are. And eventually, you probably want to move to LA or New York if you want to really take it seriously, because to a lesser extent Chicago, but if you're to Second City and things like that, but you keep on taking that next step, but you still, the first time is just getting yourself into some plays at your school and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, appropriate. Our first clown question of the day. It better be A, funny, or B, weird.
Sorry. I'm Michelle. I know I stopped by y'all for a while yesterday with my friend over there. I have a couple of questions. So the first one is for the brothers, and the second one's for the whole panel. But the first question is, I know y'all touched a little bit on the sequel and some of the things that have come out for series. Is there still a path for those, or kind of where, if anything, what's going on with that?
There's always a path because we'll make it. It's been a constant conversation for 35 years. Right now with the video game, on the brink of it could be a game changer. It'll help show that there's a mainstream wide audience for the project. Cult classic is great, but mainstream is better. We've got a lot of ideas. We have a great one we want to pursue. So like in the extended series range, like 8-10 episodes in a Netflix or an Amazon situation. And then we have some receptive ears over at MGM. So
it's up to you guys. You guys keep on buying that merchandise. You want more clowns in your life.
No, but it doesn't. This is what drives it. Conventions like the internet, social media. That's what
start a big internet, Twitter campaign. Get the ball rolling. Just the critical mass, I think, is building. So, we're hoping it finally reaches that point that they can't say no anymore.
I'm excited for that. And then last question for the whole group would be, what was your favorite part of either being part of the project or even just watching the project?
I'll start. Well, I loved it all, but for me, there was the one night where we got to throw pies. For me, that was the pinnacle. To be able to throw like 20 pies at this one guy standing there getting smashed, just absolutely smashed. And the guy was great. It was absolutely great. I think did we do 2 or 3 takes, or we do it all at once?
No, it was one.
Well, we did one take. Lots of pies. But it was such a thrill to throw pies at this guy.
Just so you know, we were all those pies when they came flying. That was everybody in the cast and crew that wasn't actually holding a light or a camera with 2 pie tins, one in each hand, and 1, 2, 3, and then stagger them. And that was everybody. So we were all super excited. I mean, you become goofy like kids.
And the lesson learned is you never ask a clown, what are you going to do with those pies?
Which, by the way, is my personal favorite line in the whole book. Every time I hear that, guys, he was just a local actor, right? It was
David Peel from San Francisco area.
I just have always thought that you couldn't deliver that any better than he did. It's like hard to believe he didn't become a big character after something. He was like Soupy Sales or something. He was awesome.
It was great.
I was impressed with the delivery of the lines on most of the cast. You know, when Debbie's trying to escape, she says, "No one's gonna put me in a balloon again." And then my favorite line is John's line. "We can't leave now, there might be people still alive in these balloons." You see, he nailed it because he took it serious. The lines weren't delivered as jokes, they were delivered as the world is being taken, there are people in distress. So that's what I loved about the performance.
But by the way, just kind of on the shoulders of what John said a little bit ago, we really were, we had a lot of trust. They had, Stephen and the brothers had a very clear vision of what they wanted, and you know, especially with my character at least, they were always kind of pushing me to be that much, you know, more hyper, more, you know, excited. And you know, at the time I was kind of in acting school, and you're being taught to, you know, be very down to earth and real and barely do anything, and so. I trusted Stephen, and I just kind of like went for it, and then when you see it, it's like they were absolutely right with all of us, you know, they knew exactly what they were painting in their canvas, and it just worked perfectly.
Well, the Killer Klowns panel was awesome. I am a huge Killer Klowns from Outer Space fan ever since I was a kid watching it on HBO. I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of people in my age range came across the film for the first time. So the fact that it's 35 years later and the fan base has just gotten bigger for that film, it's very, very, you know, heartwarming to see as someone who really watched it as a kid, who has a son now who enjoys the film. So that's very awesome to see. Okay, so we are at the final panel, which is the Terrifier 2 panel. It's been a fun weekend. I'm sad to see it winding down, but this is the last little bit of it as far as panels go. So I'm just gonna kick back, relax, and enjoy, I mean, the cast and crew of one of the, you know, best movies of 2022, Terrifier 2.
Bring to the stage, Damien, Leone, and David Howard Thornton.
Yeah!
Thanks for having us. Hello, everybody. What an amazing weekend so far. You guys are awesome.
First off, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on cleaning up at the Chainsaw Awards. You won Best Limited Release. Lauren took home the Editor's Eyeball Award, which is something that we just made up this year. We were like, as the editors of Bengal, we wanted to recognize certain folks, so Lauren's one of them. And David, you took Best Makeup Effects as well.
Yeah.
I will tell you our big write-in category, unprompted. We asked you guys to write in Best Kill. It wasn't even close to second place. Did you guys see the bedroom kill? You guys like that?
Oh yeah.
So, my dad freaked out also, by the way. I watched with my parents, and my dad freaked out that you were the writer, the director, and did the effects on it. And he was like, what? So I think you just made a new fan also out of my dad.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
So let's talk a little bit about the inception of this. You have Terrifier 2. I mean, I can't look around the convention in any direction I was telling you without seeing like a dozen Art the Clowns at least. So I feel like you have this rabid fan base with Terrifier, and I feel like that fucking like tenfold for Terrifier 2. Like, what has this all been like, and that kind of inception from your early creation of Art the Clown? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it does not sink in. We say it all the time. This is so surreal, and we don't take any of this for granted. It's so special. Because if you just judge it by Terrifier 2, it kind of seems like an overnight success. Like it came and blew up and then turned into a thing. But really, it's been a very long journey. So I created Art the Clown back in 2005. 5 or 6 for my first short film, and he was only in the first like 4 minutes, and then he, you know, turns over to like demons and witchcraft and all kinds of things. And when people would see that, they would just say, dude, that clown at the beginning is like insane. He looks so cool, he's so creepy, you have to just keep going and making more things with that. And then I decided to make another short film years later, which was called Terrifier, and that's kind of when I personally realized, I was like, you know, this character, there really is something cool there, there's something special, and I just had to keep following him. He was just like the North Star that I just had to keep following to where I was gonna go. So again, it's been a really long journey, but yeah, it wasn't until then that I realized we had something special. But with part 2, I mean, we didn't even know it was going to go into the movie theaters because it's so unprecedented. Like the first one didn't, and now we have this sequel to an obscure movie that's unrated. It's 2 hours and 18 minutes long, and they would ask me, "You think it's going to go in the theaters?" And I'm like, "Probably not. It's kind of never happened before." And then kudos to Cinedigm who put it out because they were really pushing for theatrical. I said, if you could do it, that's going to be great. But I'm not going to hold my breath. But sure enough, they got into a handful of theaters, like maybe 800 theaters for one weekend. That's when it was supposed to play, just one weekend. And then by that Sunday, reports on Twitter and social media started coming out that people were passing out and fainting in the theater, puking. Yeah. It's organic, it's real. It was not us, I promise you. There's an amazing picture on Twitter that popped up, which I'm sorry, but it was like a guy had a panic attack or puked or fainted, and he's in the lobby, and you know, like they put like an emoji over his face in the image. It's like his friend filming him, and paramedics walking over to him, and above his shoulder is the Terrifier 2 poster.
Yes.
That is the asshole friend who was filming, right? Like,
he's like, my friend just passed out. Terrifier 2 is a pretty gnarly movie. I recommend you go see it.
And you got a lot of mainstream media coverage from that as well. Like this was like it wasn't just like horror outlets covering this. Like this was everywhere. It became like a sensation.
Yeah. So like I said, after that, then that following week was every morning talk show was talking about it. Howard Stern was talking about it for like an hour segment on his show. Stephen King tweeted about it. Like that's really fancy stuff, like for something like that, you know. But it was wild. We wake up every morning and text each other, like, you see what's happening? Like, what's going on now? Who's talking about it now? So we enjoyed it. We were able to take that in.
David, I can't. You want to talk to us a little bit about, you have a wordless performance, but you bring so much to that. What do you do to prepare for that, to kind of differentiate from other roles where you're playing a creepy, wordless monster?
Well, first of all, I kind of based art off of so many different characters that I grew up watching, because I always give it a great, I guess, upbringing with film, with classic film. I was watching old black and white comedies and stuff like that, so I was watching Marx Brothers and Chaplin, Buster Keaton, those guys growing up, and that's where I pulled a lot from, was those great silent comedians that came before me, all the way up to like, you know, Peter Sellers and Jim Carrey, and Mr. Bean, Doug Jones, all those guys. And so many great people learned how nice adapted. But as I was telling you backstage, I also like to bring in animal characteristics to a lot of characters I play, especially like, you know, villains and like predators and stuff like that. And I base art off of the vulture. So you know, he has that beak nose, you know, has a little hunch, but you know, vultures, the birds of prey, everything, they use their eyes first. So it's like I always look at something, the head moves. You know, that's how birds are. So I made a face of him off of a vulture. It's kind of weird, I know, but it works. And I was in a production of A Christmas Carol. I'm a musical theater nerd and all that kind of stuff. Yes. I'm a song and dance guy. But there was a girl in the cast I had a crush on, and she asked me if I wanted to go with the rest of the cast go see Scream 2, and I could not chicken out from her, so I went and I had a blast into the next year in college. My roommate and I would go every single weekend and just really just rent stacks of tapes. There was a time when people went to the movie rental store and the tapes called VHS. That's what we did. And we just watched the whole entire franchise over the weekend, and that's how I caught up. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Both my mom talking about it. This is fun.
You also created, which I appreciate, an iconic final girl in Terrifier 2. That look, I was hoping that I would see a lot of those. This weekend, it's maybe it's difficult to replicate.
It's a very hard costume, but there were a couple. One in particular was like astonishing. Yeah. I don't know if you see it. I just finished it that morning too. It was really good because that was one of the hardest things we had to build in the movie, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. Like we were building it up until the moment we started shooting it. The first time we shot her in the costume was her going into the carnival, the exterior, when she's looking for Jonathan, and it still wasn't finished. Like we shot her from behind, like she only had like one side of the skirt finished, so we had to like turn it around. It didn't have any sheen on it, but yeah, it was a nightmare, that costume move. But
it was worth it though.
Yeah, it was worth it. It looks great. But yeah, Lauren Rivera just knocked that performance out of the park. That doesn't work without her.
She definitely made my job easier. I mean, she was just absolutely fantastic, and she was my rock during a lot of this too, because especially when we're filming that last big, huge segment there, and the big finale there in the not amusement park, but it wasn't an amusement park, but like in the haunted house, the Terrifier. That was a long ordeal in very miserable conditions in the middle of winter, and we were each other's rock, I guess, through all that. We were powering through it, and she's fantastic. And she gave me so much to work off of, and it's just like I adore her, and I'm so glad that I have someone like that to be my foil for years to come. She is the Batman to my Joker.
Yeah, well, part one was really just a showcase for Art the Clown. And that was kind of the idea going in. We knew it was such a low-budget movie and had to put our all in it and just basically swing for the fences and just, say, like, do you guys, will you embrace this character? Like, do you like what we're offering, basically? It was just like a great assist, where Art's basically the star of the movie. You find out that really he is the hero, so to speak. But it was so important to bring in his nemesis this time, and a worthy adversary, and someone that can really, take him out, especially now that he's supernatural and seemingly immortal or so powerful. So it was important to bring in that character. And that's one of my favorite, if not my favorite character that I ever wrote. It's based on a lot of personal relationships and people in my life. My two older sisters, I drew a lot of inspiration from them in that character. There's a lot of me in there, which is being an artist and things with anxiety. Like I really tried to, the whole family dynamic is based on a lot of things in my personal life. So it was also the most vulnerable I ever was as a writer. So hopefully if that resonates, I mean that's why it's coming from a genuine place. But again, really, you can only do so much on the page, but it wasn't until Lauren took on the role and made it her own that it really,
And now I somehow love her even more.
Yeah, she's great.
You want to talk a little bit about the effects, particularly in that bedroom scene?
The scene. Well, that was the hardest. I'm probably the most proud of that, but it was very hard to tackle that. Originally, for the first time, I wanted to bring in an additional makeup team to help me because I did all the effects. Me and my partner Phil did all the effects on Terrifier 1, and it takes forever. I mean, you really need a crew to do that. I mean, after I wrote part 2, I was like, this is insane. This is like the apocalypse now of like slasher indies. I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. So we tried to get a team to come in to pick up the slack. It looked like it was going to work, and then maybe a month or so before we started shooting, they bailed out, and now we were really behind. And I was talking to Phil. I said, do we stop? Do we postpone? He's like, we keep postponing. We just got to jump in and film, and we'll figure it out as we go. And that just meant me and Phil had to do all the effects as we were going. And we have to basically stop production for like a week at a time, build the effects, go back into shooting. So everybody was like always on standby, and that's why it took so long. But we knew the bedroom scene was going to be the scene supposedly that could rival the hacksaw scene. So when it came time to shoot it, we didn't have the effects prepared, and I'm just watching it on the monitor, and I'm like, there's no way people are going to talk about this scene the way they talk about the hacksaw scene. I was like really miserable, and after we shot it, I would like pull some of the key crew members aside and say, we're going to have to come back and shoot some of this, get inserts, blah, blah, blah. And then we got hit with COVID. We went into lockdown, and I was like, I have all this time, nothing to do right now. I said, I'm going to reconfigure this entire scene, spend all this time just building the effects the way they should be. So I just went back to Phil's house. We were in his basement for months. We molded his daughter's entire body, like every body part that we could use. I I wrote out a list of things we could possibly do to Casey, and we just like chose like 10 of them that we could do, and that was it. And that's 10. When we 10. There's one thing that I didn't get to do because I felt like we were pushing it a little too far.
Oh, you had to pull back a little.
I had to pull back. I had a part where he actually bites her tongue out. And I thought that was pushing it. That was pushing it. Then she would have been able to say mom too. So.
Yeah, you can still do that.
That's true. You can still do that.
The L's are the tricky
That's
ones.
right. That's right. But then we went back. We went back finally when the lockdown was done, and we shot that entire scene for 5 days straight, which is a long time to shoot that scene and a long time to put Casey Harden through hell. I mean, my God, like everything I just said about Lauren, I could say about Casey. I mean, she's the MVP. She did not complain once. We shot that in a barn, in a set we built in a barn in the middle of the winter. It was freezing. I mean, we had space heaters in between shooting that, but every time we had to shoot, we had to shut them off because we're trying to record sound. You don't want to hear that going. So, I mean, it was miserable. She had to, like, meditate in the corner. She was in some zen state, but she didn't complain once. I mean, she would get stuck to the rug. You can see it in the movie when she's trying to crawl. She's just glued to the rug, basically. I'd have to follow her around in between takes and spray her with a water bottle. So, yeah, it was intense. It was hard, but, you know, we just really wanted to deliver on the promise. I mean, people would come up to me and say, well, how are you going to top the Hacksaw scene? I'm not saying we did it. Some people think we did. Some people still love the Hacksaw scene, but, you know, we'll always give it our all and swing for the fences with these big kill scenes. So we're going to do that again in part 3. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know where you're going to take this,
I
sir.
wish I could tell you what it is. I don't even know yet. He knows a piece of it. Yeah, I came up with it like a while ago, but then a month ago there was something missing, and I finally realized what it's going to be, and you'll know it when you see it happen.
First off, I just want to say congratulations on Best Make Effects, Best Linear Release, Best Kill, well deserved. I thought the film was magnificent.
Thank you.
My question is for you, Damien. When you're writing Mark the Clown down, you have him on paper. Did David bring something different that you're thinking, that's not how I thought he would be, but I actually like it, you know, it's actually better than or did exactly how you wanted it to be?
Both. Yeah, 100%. It's very clear when I write him. I know my version of him, exactly what I want, even the jokes, like his sense of humor. But with David, because you all know he replaced Mike Gianelli, and so the first time I saw what David could really bring to it, which would be different, was when we were filming the pizzeria scene, and he gives Tara the ring, and then he gets up and skips away to the bathroom. And I'm watching on the monitor, and I just see this very Looney Tunes kind of skip away. I'm like, I've never seen Art do that before. But then I'm like, you know what? He's a clown. It's Art the Clown. Now I have this guy who's very theatrical. He's a trained actor, and let's embrace that and let's inject that into the character. You know, here and there. I didn't want to overdo it, but that's one of those things where we kind of start molding it together. When it's scenes where he's making faces and those great. When she's staring at him, every time she looks away and looks back, he's got a different face. I'll give him a couple of the creepy faces, I'll even show him, that I really like, and then I let the camera roll and I say, now go crazy, and then he comes over to this, and all that. And then I get to the editing room and I have this.
Awesome, I appreciate it. David, can you do me a favor and just stand up and just give me the bird, just one time?
Hello, this is for David. It's actually not about Terrifier, but about the mean one. I don't know if you ever have questions about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just want to know, how did that come about when you found out that you were going to be the Grinch, let alone, did you have did you terrorize the cast, behind the scenes or anything?
Well, it's funny, I have a backstory with that character. I worked with him as the understudy for the Grinch for 5 years with the musical of that. I actually came to Dallas back in 2010 with it. But our Grinch was amazingly talented Stephen Carl, who was Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. Yeah, he was fantastic, and so I mean, he's influenced both of those roles that I'm known for now. It's like, of course, with the main one also is art, because Steph was actually trained in clowning and mime and all that. So I went to him when I first got cast in art, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be playing this character. Can you teach me Obi-Wan? And so yeah, so I of course, based a lot of what I did on the main one off of what I learned from Stephen all those years and stuff like that. But I also wanted to do my own thing with it too, because it's not necessarily the Grinch that everybody knows from the animated film and the live action Jim Carrey film and stuff like that. So I wanted to have more of a beastly nature film, so it's more like Sasquatch type character. He's a lot of fun, and I love him. I hope to do more with that version of the character, and they're going to be releasing I believe, a director's cut later on this year. So because I know a lot of you did not get a chance to see it while I was in the theaters because it was a very limited run, and it's just a fun film. I hope you enjoy it. It's very campy, very low budget, but it's like the Hallmark Channel made a horror movie. So. That character is one of my favorite American fables, because really that's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is America's first real Christmas story. When you think about it, so much of the other Christmas stories that we have are based from Europe. So that's a very uniquely American Christmas story. So yeah, I love it.
I just wanted him to, all these movies, especially Jace, he kind of always has to go look for a weapon, or he disappears, comes back, he's got something new. I wanted him to have them all at his disposal. And he can it's his bag of tricks. He can pull anything I want out of it at any time. So it's almost like a cheap trick. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Do you enjoy doing the killing more, or when you're getting killed? Do I enjoy getting killed more or killing more people? Yeah, I definitely enjoy killing people. No one wants to die.
Dude, everybody wants to die. That's the only question I get these days. How do I get killed in Terrifier?
It is fun. That's a great way to deal with stress. He would sometimes do it, it's like, yeah, pretend such and so, and I'm like,
I actually wanted to bring up your appearance in Pete Davidson's Focus. How did that happen, and do you plan on making more appearances in other projects, or small projects, big projects?
Yeah, so Pete's a huge fan of Terrifier, like really huge. A week before Terrifier 2 hit the movie theaters, I got an email from his rep saying, hey, I represent Pete Davidson, he's a huge fan, he'd love for you to call him. And I was like, what? And I thought it was a joke, I thought somebody was pranking me, and I was like, all right, like here's my number. And sure enough, I got a text message, and he's like, hey, it's Pete Davidson. He's like, I'm on set right now, but can you talk in like an hour? And I'm like, sure, yeah, call me. I still think it's a prank. And then sure enough, the phone rings, I pick it up, he's like, yo, and I'm like, that's Pete fucking Davidson. And he's like, dude, I've been the biggest Terrifier fan. He's like, I just found out a part 2's coming out. He's like, everybody on SNL has seen that Hacksaw scene. He's like, it's all I do is show everybody he's like a troll, like he loves messing with people. It's amazing. And then he came, we both live on Staten Island, and then he rented out a movie theater there for a private screening. He had us show it, and I went there with my producer Phil, and we showed him Terrifier 2, and he loved it. And then maybe like a couple of weeks later, he texted me, and he's like, hey man, I got this idea, I'm shooting this show. Spoiler, I guess if you haven't seen Buckets. He's like, there's a scene where he's like, I'm in rehab and I'm high and I'm hallucinating. He's like, and the people in front of me start morphing into celebrities in my mind. He's like, what if one of them is Art the Clown? He's like, you don't have to do it. He's like, but I thought that'd be crazy. I'm like, oh, 100%. I'll do that in a heartbeat. Because it doesn't mess with the mythology, and that movie's kind of based on that show is based sort of on his life. So him being a fan is perfect. So we just went down and spent one day. They kind of let me direct it, but I mean, me and Dave just did our thing. He improvised. We made faces, the typical faces and stuff. And they were just having a blast. The whole cast and crew, treated him like a rock star on set. They all wanted to see him.
It's so awesome. Like, I even scared the crap out of Machine Gun Kelly, so that was
Well, that's another thing, like Pete will do. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll get a video from Pete. I'll open it up, and it's Machine Gun Kelly watching Terrifier 2 and freaking out in the bar. Pete Davidson laughing. It is insane. It's so surreal. So yeah, it's been wild. Yeah.
I watched Terrifier 2. My mom looked over at me, and she's like, "I wonder what kind of trash bags they use." So here's what's curious. What kind of trash bags do y'all use for Terrifier?
Hello, I was actually wondering if you could film any movie with art versus any slasher or horror villain in general, who would it be? Art versus who?
That's a good question. Me, I would choose Freddy Krueger. Either facing up or teaming up, because they both have a great sense of humor, and now they're both kind of living in this supernatural world. I think there's a lot you can do with those two. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want that. That's also one of mine too, but I also would like to bring in another lower budget indie. Papa Core. Exactly. Because they're both so messed up in their own way. I think it'll be an interesting way to swim up. So yeah. But like, I still haven't been able to meet Lulu yet. I know he's here this weekend. We always chat all the time online and kind of rib each other, so it's a lot of fun. So I just want to give my love to Billy on right now.
I have 2 questions for both of you. My first one is, what's your favorite weapon that Art uses?
Mine would be his, I guess you call it the cat of nine tails. I think that's his most unique weapon that he has. I think it's a really cool weapon. It's a horrible thing too. I've actually now been on the receiving end of it, both on screen and in real life. Because Lauren got me across the lip one night with that thing, and I was like, woohoo! I was like, now I know how it feels for everybody else. That's not a lot of fun. But what I think is really cool about that weapon too, what makes it a little bit more unique, is those aren't ropes attaching all the instruments. That's the hair of his victims.
I got that from Boba Fett, believe it or not. Because he keeps the Wookiee braids. I remember, from the trophies from the Wookiees he's killed, and I remember just reading that a long time ago. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So now Art uses the braids of his victims.
After filming, did you accidentally, just say I'm talking to a friend, and then, Art just slipped out of nowhere.
Accidentally stabbed him in the face.
Yeah.
You ran in my night.
No. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, first off, I wasn't the first one to play Art. It was Mike Gianelli playing Zeke, so I already had something to face him off of, which I was very grateful for. It made my job easier. So Mike set a great foundation for me to build off of. So I looked at a lot of his performance. I could get a lot of the nuances he brought to the character, and then I wanted to bring more of the physical clowning aspect to Art, since he's Art the Clown. I felt that would help separate him from a lot of the other silent killers out there that would add more personality to him, especially since the makeup lends itself to more versatility, because he's not behind a static mask like Michael Myers and Jason and those type of characters. So I wanted to add more of that. So I brought in all my experience from doing physical comedy in my whole entire life. I was always a comedy guy. I did a lot of children's theater too. So and children love physical comedy. They're more into the physical than the verbal. And of course, Art's definitely not verbal. So so I added a lot of what I learned from growing up doing that kind of comedy, and also from those great physical actors I mentioned earlier. And I blended that with my love of great villains. So I put a lot of I look at Art as an amalgamation of all the horror slasher icons that come before him, just little bits and pieces of every single one of those guys inside of him, and a little bit of Joker as well, of course. And I just blended that together and out came art. But yeah, sometimes it slips out to everyday life, and it's kind of crazy. Now I've sometimes even noticed, like, someone annoys me on the subway or something like that. I'm like, how would art handle this situation? I'm like, uh-oh, I need to go to a therapist.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my wife followed me home, unbeknownst to me, and she came in during the hacksaw scene, of course, naturally. But since, I watched that movie, went to bed, and got up and got help, and I'm making movies of my own, and I'll be remembered. Thank you.
Because, sorry if I get a little emotional. But I lost my mom when I was in college, and at the time I was studying to be an elementary school teacher. And I went through a hard time during that time period of my life, because it was like a year after my mom died, I was starting my internship in the schools, and my dog died, my grandmother died, a good friend of mine committed suicide, and my sister married a homeless man. And it's all in a month that I went to go into my internship in schools, and I was, at the time, I was like the top of my class. I was like the ideal teacher, all that kind of stuff. And I was majorly depressed. I was very angry at the world. And I was just not in my right frame of mind. I was just downward spiral, and it was affecting everything I was doing in the classroom. I was making mistakes left and right, and I was like, what is wrong with me right now? And then one day, I'm doing story time with my children, and I'm doing all the fun little voices for the characters, and they're just laughing, having fun, and of course I had them on to math next, and they didn't want to move on to math, and I did blame them, because we were doing multiplication and division and all that fun stuff, and it just dawned on me in that moment that I got more fulfillment out of entertaining my students than teaching them. And I had that epiphany about what I need to do with my life. Because right before my mom passed away, we had our final talk with each other. And it was the last thing she ever... Sorry. Yeah. But sorry. That was the last word she ever said. And he said, life's too short. Don't do what you think you have to do with your life. Do what you want to do with your life. You've been given gifts. Don't squander them. I want you to live the life that you want to live. And after all, it didn't hit me at that time, but it was that day that those words came back to me, and I'm like, this is what I need to do with my life. I'm meant to entertain people. And I talked to my dad that night. My dad is a NASA engineer, put rockets in space, very, very practical, pragmatic man. And I thought I was going to have this big, huge, long, conversation with him about all this because, I put all this time and effort into becoming a teacher. And he's like, oh, no, your mom and I always thought you should be an actor, but we didn't want to tell you what you do with your life. I'm like, I had a speech prepared. I have this rallying speech to get you on my side. But he's like, no, you need to do what you want to do with your life. It's your life to live. Why don't you just take a year off, get your head back in the game, and then finish up your degree so you have something to fall back on, then move to New York and pursue this. And it was the most freeing thing I've ever had in my life. I just felt like this giant burden was off my shoulders, and I'm like, I can do what I want to do. And so to deal with that depression, I threw myself into acting. I was doing show after show after show after show in Huntsville, Alabama before I moved up to New York. And it saved me because those few hours that I could be on stage or in rehearsal, I was able to escape the horrible stuff going on in my own life and be someone else for a change. And it was so freeing, and I loved it, and that's why I went into this profession. And because I loved bringing joy and laughter, now scares to other people, and that's why it's the best job in the world. And I say, if you're going through something that is destroying you on the inside, know, first of all, that you have people that love you and support you, and they care about you. But also find something constructive, not destructive. Find something constructive to do with your life, to keep you going forward. Whatever it is, something that you love to do, you can turn that into a career. It's even better. But find something and reach out to people if you need help too. But I'm so happy to hear that you're doing so much better now.
Sean Clark, the man working hard over there. Hey, that's the hardest working man in conventions right there. One of my inspirations, so glad to see him and meet him for sure. Doing the final farewell stroll through Texas Frightmare Weekend 2023. Celebrities are gone, some are still here to take care of their last few autographs, but oh, I tell you, it has been quite the Texas Frightmare convention this year. I am really happy with how it turned out this year. Okay, travelers, that will do for Texas Frightmare Weekend 2023. I had a fantastic time. I mean, any year at Frightmare is a blast. I mean, it's a place where you can come, and no matter if it's your first time coming, you're guaranteed to meet friends that you'll look forward to seeing next year and the year after and the year after. Definitely couldn't recommend it more. Again, this is your guy Brendan with the Horror Green Book. Asking you, if you like this video, to like, comment, and subscribe. I have a lot of more fun videos at horror conventions to come for this summer. So, travelers, remember, it's scary out there in those streets. So let me know that you made it home safely.